You're boiling like frogs.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, July 27, 2023. This is your award-winning Give Our Nation Media Assassination episode 1576.
This is No Agenda.
Ice cream good, lick, and broadcasting live from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, where you get a plea deal and you get a plea deal, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
The distraction of the week.
I thought the flying saucer stuff was the distraction of the week.
It's a double op. It's a double op. It's a double op week. It's
double duty op.
Double duty op week. That's right, everybody. Yeah. Oh, man. I didn't even know where to start with either one of these.
Well, since I don't have any clips whatsoever, even though there's a ripe one or two.
Yeah, I got some
about
clips.
The flying saucers, and that's your beat.
All right. I can do it.
Take it away, maestro.
All right. So I need to set this up for a moment. This is the same guy, Grush, I think is his name, who is being billed in the media as a whistleblower, which he is not. He's not a whistleblower. We played...
Do people know what a whistleblower really is?
Why don't you give us a little explanation of what a whistleblower is?
A whistleblower is somebody within a company, corporation, or government agency that sees wrongdoing, and then, despite the risks to his career, he blows the whistle on the corruption.
Right. So it's not a guy who works for an intelligence agency and has been given permission to speak about a whole bunch of things and continuously talks about going into the skiff.
He does? I didn't. Well, I only heard a few choice ones.
Oh, man.
Goes into the skiff.
So this guy.
Let me just ask, before you run any clips,
all right.
Do they discuss at all the Philip Corso book, which blew the lid off this thing 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago?
No, this is something entirely different. Oh. This is an op of a whole different sort. It's easy to understand, I think. It was for me. No. This is something. Let's get a little backgrounder from CBS. Ooh, spooky music.
Alien films are a Hollywood staple, so perhaps no surprise.
The American people deserve to know what is happening in our skies.
There was a line out the door with people anxious for the government to share more about UFOs.
In the Baptist Church, we'd say that the devil's in our way.
A former intelligence officer, David Grush, testified he suspects the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or UAP office, is covering up a decades-long program to retrieve crashed objects.
Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
The Pentagon has denied Grush's claims. Two former military pilots also recounted their close encounters.
This object was estimated to be almost the size of a football field.
Former military pilot David Fravor testified he was astonished by what he saw in the sky.
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
Congress signaled it'll ask federal agencies and the Pentagon to be more transparent.
Many people believe that we're withholding information from them.
On any unexplained aerial phenomena incidents, of which there have been at least 366 reported since early 2021.
Do you think anybody's mind was changed because of this?
I think they will when they see this. They see those men. They're not just some random people off the street.
Senators this week will consider legislation requiring the National Archives to release federal reports about UFOs, arguing those mysterious items in the sky, JB, are a danger to military aircraft and U.S. security on the ground.
All the clues are in here. All the clues are in here. Hold on a
second.
What?
Did I hear right that the report was David Grush believes?
He does believe.
He believes based on interviews with 40 people?
Yes.
So he never saw a craft.
No. But we knew
He never
this.
saw an alien thumb.
No. We knew all this because that was it. We played his entire or pertinent bits from his News Nation interview, the only one he did. It wasn't exclusive, so that no one would watch it. Because this is clearly the military-industrial complex. Who needs more money? What?
Well, Did they also say he is a corporate intelligence officer?
No. Did they say that?
I thought they said that he was in corporate. He was a corporate intelligence.
Former intelligence officer.
Oh, was former. Okay.
He's CIA. And in the News Nation interview, he said, my bosses said I could talk. I mean, my former bosses said I could talk about this stuff. John, whenever you get the Democrats and Republicans agreeing 100% in Congress, it's for military spending. That is just the history. That's just the track record.
I see.
And you heard it at the end of that CIA Broadcasting Systems clip. Here, listen to that.
Archives to release federal reports about UFOs, arguing those mysterious items in the sky, JB, are a danger to military aircraft and U.S. security on the ground.
Danger to military aircraft and U.S. security on the ground. Yes, and we heard it's a safety threat to nuclear national security.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, sure.
So these things have been spotted in the sky since the 40s. Probably before that, too. So how many total planes have been crashed or burned up or shot down or damaged by these dangerous things flying around? How many total since, let's say, 1935?
I would be happy to answer that question for you, Congressman, in the skiff. That's basically how the whole hearing, anything that was going to be good was in the skiff. Yes, in the skiff. All right, I just got three clips, and you'll hear it. This is clearly the next level of let's get some more money. We're running out of money on this Ukraine gambit. Let's get some money through this little rigmarole.
At one point, you had said that there has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured, and the activity. And I got by UAPs or by people within the federal government.
Both. Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity.
He's a whistleblower, but I can't get into the specifics, because I have clearances. I got to be careful of my clearance.
Humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So,
never acknowledge tradecraft, but you're a whistleblower. What's your point?
Personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So, what I personally witnessed, myself and my wife, was very disturbing.
Oh! I'm so sorry. You're so disturbed. This is nothing. Now, but there was one thing that just bugged me. Because this term came up, this noun, and from I think it's a junior, she's a pretty junior person. What is her name? I can't remember. The young lady. And so this is all scripted, by the way. It's completely scripted. And they use this term, which just comes out of nowhere, which was puzzling.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Biologics?
Yeah.
Now, if you look up biologics, which I know what biologics is basically the non-tested vaccine system in the United States. Those are biologics. It's a classification of medication. But now they're using it in this context. I thought that was really interesting. And I'm not sure why. And you can look up any dictionary. When is biologics ever used with aliens? Never.
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Or maybe just some vaccines. I don't know. I mean, he said he's not answering that they were
a batch of expired vaccines. Modernas.
Maybe
they're in their big box of them. What the hey?
Maybe we're reading way too much into it. He's just given a non-answer that sounds like he means aliens, but is really just expired vaccines.
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Wait, now I can be a biologic? No one ever taught me this.
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Oh, so he didn't see anything. He doesn't know anything. It's people he talked to who are still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Oh, because I'm a whistleblower. So let's get into the skiff about that. This thing was bull crap. I'm telling you, this is only about the next hearing, which we'll have to have. Now we're going to bring in the military and relevant agencies so they can start asking for money.
Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Right away. Let's have lunch. I'm a whistleblower.
How do you have, before you even talk to someone, a hostile witness list? I'll give you a friendly and hostile witness list. This is you got a name of a guy says, you put me on that list, man. I'm not saying nothing.
I'm not going to go.
I don't get it.
It's all bull. This thing is the next, and it will be a public hearing, and it's going to be more of this. And it's going to be, we need special stuff to protect ourselves in case there are hostile biologics. We just need some biologics, the anti-biologics. Come on. Stop. This is insulting.
Well, if you wouldn't be so insulted if they let you in the skiff.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you let me in the skiff, then I'm good to go. Okay. Now I've got.
So, I'm reminded of what this skiff is, the Dome of Silence from the old Get Smart show.
Was the dome or cone?
I think it was a cone. I think it might have been cone.
It was cone of silence.
The cone of silence, and it dropped down. They couldn't hear each other when they were inside of it.
Oh, goodness. All right. Now we've got to get to the next nutty. I mean, they're nonstop. They're not going to quit with this summer, which is just the worst ever. It's the hottest ever. We're all going to die. This is the climate change. This is just it. This is it. And no one better to embody the elite messaging through the old school elite messaging system, which would be ABC this week, as Governor Jay Inslee from Washington. Now, Mimi lives up there. Are they burning alive up there? Is there something going on that I should be aware of? Is it the worst? Is there something really horrible happening in Washington State?
Rained like a son of a bitch yesterday.
Well, good, because that's not what's going on according to Governor. And this. I mean, I really have two people to play clips from about this climate change, hottest summer ever bull crap. But the messaging is on. I don't think anyone buys it anymore, but they're trying.
We're joined now by Washington State Governor Jay Inslee, a leading advocate for climate action. Governor, thanks for joining us. How much do you...
He's a leading governor for climate action. Were you aware of his credentials?
All I know is he ran for president in 2016. And he said, when I'm his whole foundation, his whole platform with his fantastic, 0.5% support was, when I'm elected, the first thing I'm going to do is declare a climate emergency.
Oh, okay.
So he's been nuts about this since day one. Yeah.
Climate action. Governor, thanks for joining us. How much do you think climate change is to blame here?
For all the fires around the world, the heat domes.
Well, look, the climate change problem, the fuse has been burning for decades, and now the climate change bomb has gone off.
Yeah. It worked so well with the population bomb. I'm just going to bring it back and call it the climate bomb. Oh, man. By the way, this is what everybody's doing now. They're trying to find the new cliche that will catch.
The scientists are telling us that this is a new age. This is the age of consequences, because whatever we thought of climate change last year, we now understand that the beast is at the door. We knew this beast of climate change was coming for us, but now it's pounding on the door. And I think it's interesting, the most sort of
it's the climate beast.
Summary of this situation, what the scientific community is telling us now, is that the Earth is screaming at us.
Which one of these do you think is going to catch? Would it be the climate beast pounding at the door, the Earth screaming at us?
It's like the oceans are boiling.
Yeah, now that didn't work. These things are not catchy enough. Maybe if they hired the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group, we could come up with one for you. Instead of
it'd definitely be better than what he's spewing out. He's just trying one thing after another. He's like spitballing right here.
It's an ideation session.
This now is that the Earth is screaming at us, and that is the situation. I talked to a leading international scientist the other day who told me that we knew this was going to happen to us, but it's happening to us maybe 2 decades earlier than we really thought. Could be in the realm of the possible. So
their predictions are wrong. Once again, they gave us more time. They lied.
It could be in the realm of the possible.
You know, on Wall Street, you get punished if you predict numbers and your numbers are too good. That's actually seen long-term as a negative if you're a CEO or CFO.
Well, no, you have to nail it.
You have to nail it. Yeah, you can be a little bit over where you start leaking out that, hey, it's going to be better than expected.
Well, generally speaking, the trick is to do a little bit under and then...
Yeah, and then nail it by a penny.
And then it goes up a penny, your stock goes up $1.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a great deal. It's not fantastic for any scientist, leading climate scientists, to say, oh, we screwed up. It's 20 years earlier.
Yeah, talking about screwing up.
Yeah, thanks for the warning, boys.
It could be in the realm of the possible. So we have to dramatically increase our efforts. That is necessary. Now, there's good news here. We can do this. Look, we're electrifying our transportation fleet. We're electrifying our homes. This is a solvable problem. But we need to stop using fossil fuels.
Oh, okay.
That is the only solution to this massive assault on humanity.
A massive assault on humanity. Okay, well, this is kind of the same message as always. Let's see. See what some of these what kind of goals do we need to have here?
What at this point? We heard Ginger Zee talk about this. What are meaningful climate goals in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years?
Is this Martha Radnich?
Yes, it is.
How does she still have work? What?
Well, this is no longer a premiere. Being on television is not that great anymore. It's kind of where people go to die. Look at Andrea Mitchell.
Can be achieved.
Well, we can take short-term action. Look, we've said we're not going to be selling internal combustion cars after 2035. We're electrifying our ferries here in Washington State. We have a law that demands 100% clean energy in a couple decades. We're acting, and I do want to note that this is not just something for the federal government. No. States can act.
Yes.
Our state is acting. We have 23 states in the U.S. Climate Alliance, and this is necessary. We've had tremendous action under President Biden's leadership with the Inflation Reduction Act. Unfortunately, the Republicans are trying to repeal that now.
Oh.
But we need to go further and faster, and states can go further and faster, and we are doing that. And again, the good news is all around my state, I can't turn over a rock without seeing new jobs associated with clean aviation fuel.
Clean aviation fuel? You mean that $15 a gallon crap that no one's going to use? They have jobs for that?
You can't turn over a rock?
Yes.
Without seeing benefits from that fuel? Is that what he said?
Yeah. And this is a mixed metaphor of epic proportions. Turn over a rock.
Well, he's usually under one.
Again, the good news is all around my state, I can't turn over a rock without seeing new jobs associated with clean aviation fuel, with new types of batteries.
The new battery thing. Oh, yeah, new batteries.
The new Washington State batteries from the Great Washington State Battery Foundry? What's he talking about? There's no batteries in Washington State.
You clearly haven't looked under a rock, John. Look under the rock to see that.
Types of batteries. It's very exciting what's going on now in inventing a new economy. And we're doing that right in Washington State, and people are getting great jobs because of this. So there's two parts to this story. This thing is now the age of consequences. The bomb has gone off, but we do have the ability to restrain fossil fuels if we make the commitments we need to. And I'm glad that I'm in a state that's doing that.
So what I think he's saying is, give me some more of that Inflation Reduction Act money. Because if we turn over rocks, we got to get more jobs for that expensive fuel that no one's going to use. But how do you bring them all together?
Governor, on that point, let's broaden the lens here. You heard John Kerry, the climate czar,
watermelon head.
Every step forward depends not on one country acting alone, but acting all together, helping to push the rest of the world to do what we need to do.
Except China.
To win this battle. That really isn't.
Oh, it's a battle. They should call it the climate war. How come I call it? She says to win this battle. Call it the war.
To do what we need to do.
Actually, I think that's better. Yeah, messaging.
Climate war?
Climate war.
Yeah, we much better. I mean, that's what we do. We fight wars. Climate war. War on climate. Climate war on drugs.
Well, you can't say the war on climate.
Just
the war.
Climate war.
Climate war.
Climate war. Yeah.
That would work on it.
To push the rest of the world to do what we need to do to win this battle. That really isn't happening. Just look at China.
Not yet.
But time is running out. The bomb is already here, as you said.
Here.
Exactly.
Oh, no. These metaphors are working for me all of a sudden. Climate war, the bomb is already here. These, with Oppenheimer, that kind of gives you a vibe. We could program people's minds with this.
But time is running out. The bomb is already here, as you said.
Exactly.
So what do you do? How do you bring others together? It's one thing what your state is doing, what the nation is trying to do, but this is a worldwide problem.
You lead. You tell your kids to lead. When you send them to summer camp, you say lead. And the United States should be and is a leader in the...
Wait a minute. Is he telling... Are you supposed to abuse your children? Lead. Okay, Mom, I'll lead.
When you go to summer camp, kid, don't listen to the counselor.
Lead.
You lead. You tell your kids to lead. When you send them to summer camp, you say lead. In the United States...
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. When you send your kids to summer camp, summer's over. Okay, you lead.
And the United States should be and is a leader in this effort. And people are coming along. We need to lead. And we need to lead not just from a moral standpoint, but from our self-interest standpoint. We need to build these jobs here and build these economies here, these battery companies that are coming in throughout the Midwest.
I thought you already had them. What is he talking about?
We're rebuilding the Rust Belt in the Midwest United States into the Silicon Belt and the belt of new innovations. So this is a self-interest for us to
there's
take.
a catchy phrase.
The Silicon Belt?
No, the belt of new innovation.
We're rebuilding the Rust Belt in the Midwest United States into the Silicon Belt and the belt of new innovations. So this is a self-interest for us to take action, and we're certainly committed to it.
A belt is such a bad name. Can you think of getting beat with the belt, tightening the belt, I'm fat? Belt is not a good image. Bad on you, Inslee.
And again, if you want to be an economic leader, follow Washington State. And what we're doing, we're building the largest fuel cell in the world, powering the largest truck.
They're building the largest fuel cell in the world?
What is he talking about?
How big?
There it is, Janet. Look at the size of that one fuel cell.
Washington State, and what we're doing, we're building the largest fuel cell in the world, powering the largest truck in the world.
Governor,
the largest truck in the world,
with the largest fuel cell.
It basically
must be in that truck.
Yeah, basically the truck transports a fuel cell and it drives on it. Wow, useful truck.
Hey. in what we're doing. We're building the largest fuel cell in the world, powering the largest truck in the world.
Governor?
New kinds of batteries we have invented here. You bet.
New kinds of batteries. Is that like the largest ball of string?
Is he full of shit or what? I mean, what kind of... He says new kinds of batteries we're inventing here. Where is this happening? I have not heard of this.
Hello, it's in the belt of innovation.
That's in the Midwest. He's talking about Washington.
Well, they've got the largest ball of string.
Well, that is a fact. They also have the largest bunch of bull crap so far as their elections are concerned. It's all mail-in ballots. It's completely corrupt. This guy wouldn't be governor anywhere if it wasn't for some machine they've got set up that gives him phony votes. It's a horrible place.
Final clip.
Governor, you have, just quickly if you can, you have candidates out there like Donald Trump who mock the idea of climate change, and there are a vast number of Americans who ignore it, don't care about it, or don't believe it.
That's us. We're going to get some wisdom, some words of wisdom from Gov.
Who ignore it, don't care about it, or don't believe it. How do you convince those people it's time to care?
Okay, now, what would convince you? What would convince me? What would convince us?
Actual facts after scientific debate that actually result in some sort of conclusion, which will never happen. Some real number. A situation where they're not fudging numbers for years on end and then going, whoops, we're sorry, we fudged that number. Don't look over here. When all that ends, maybe I might be convinced. Is that possible?
And I should say that this is all coming on the heels of a report, and we talked about, I think on the last show, the World Weather Attribution Institute, which is
a new.
Well, it's part of the Imperial Institute now.
Oh.
He used to be a Dutch guy
London?
who started. Yeah, the ones who
the guys who predicted that everyone would die from COVID. Those guys.
Those guys, exactly. And I looked up their methods. Their methods by analyzing that it's the hottest ever, we're all going to die, is analyzing observed real-world weather data collected from weather stations in the study region. Researchers can find out how unlikely the extreme weather event is and identify any trends in the intensity of similar events. This is interesting. Analysis can determine how frequently weather events, it's all weather now. It used to be climate's not weather, but it is now. How frequently weather events of a similar intensity would have been expected to occur before humans started burning fossil fuels in the late 1800s, which means the researchers can calculate the difference in the probability of an event occurring in the late 1800s compared to the probability of an event occurring today. The study uses computer modeling to isolate the role of to try to isolate the role of human-induced climate change in that event.
Yeah, this is like stock market analysis. It's so simple to take and come up with a formula that will predict the price of a stock and then retroactively push it into the 1900s, say the 1930s, and then track the stock, run the model. Oh, look, it went up. That means it'll do that forever. Yeah. Never works.
Yeah, it's Bollinger Bands, basically. Researchers use modeling that simulates the likelihood and intensity of the weather event in two worlds. Today's world with 1.2 degrees centigrade of human-induced global warming, and a hypothetical world without human-caused climate change. Researchers then compare the results to find out if climate change made the event more or less likely and intense. This is what they're going on, which is bizarre. All right, let's listen to his convincing words.
Well, we can't wait for Donald Trump to figure this out.
Oh, I'm convinced.
We don't have time to mess around to wait for this knucklehead to figure this out.
Is this a solution, but not waiting for knuckleheads?
We just got to make sure he's not in office.
It's about
that's
voting.
What we're doing.
Don't vote for Trump, and then we'll be safe.
So this whole thing is about ends with a don't vote for Trump
message.
Don't
vote for Trump.
And the way we do this is vote against climate deniers. Vote against people who refuse to assist this moral and economic crisis that we have. You can't wait for these folks You just got to make sure they're not in office where they can do damage. Let them go off and play golf.
Remember, the question was, how do we bring people together? How do we convince them it's time? By telling them they're idiots, don't vote for the knucklehead.
We'll solve this problem. It's a solvable problem.
Vote for me!
If we work together. And people are coming around to this very, very rapidly because their homes are burning down. They're choking on smoke from the Canadian fires.
Choking on smoke! Which is all climate change related, mind you.
When Ron DeSantis wants to go...
I'm sorry?
Sucking on soot.
Smoke from the Canadian fires. When Ron DeSantis wants to go swim and he can't because the water's like a sauna, like a hot tub off his beaches.
Wait a minute. Are the Florida waters like a sauna? Like a hot tub? Is that true?
The ocean temperatures are on 90.
That's not a sauna.
No, I think saunas are pretty hot.
That's not a hot tub. My pool, unheated here in Texas, is almost 98 degrees.
Unheated?
Yeah, it's not a sauna. I got a small pool. It's not a sauna. It's not a hot tub. I don't think the oceans are like saunas and hot tubs.
Hey, the oceans are boiling.
But it's Ron DeSantis, so don't vote for him either.
They're choking on smoke from the Canadian fires. When Ron DeSantis...
Don't vote for Canadians.
...wants to go swim and he can't because the water's like a sauna, like a hot tub off his beaches. We just got to make sure those folks are not in office. We don't have the luxury of allowing these people to destroy the planet.
You have them destroy your cities with homelessness instead.
Man, oh man. Where was was it here, this song? Oh, not that one. That's too long. We have a small one, I thought. A short one.
Sucking on soot.
Sucking on soot, yeah. Go ahead.
You might die. Sucking in soot. You might die.
Sucking in soot. That's right. All right. So, where does this all come from? As I mentioned, the elite messaging machine. It's coming from the top. It always comes from the top. This is the message across the elite universe. We're going to be beaten to death with it. That's how we're going to die. Not from climate change, but from just being beaten over the head with this message over and over and over again. Because it's warm. It's a summer. And there's some fires.
It's summer. It's summer and it's hot. Go figure.
So this morning...
By the way, it's not hot here.
No. And here it's... what are we at now? We're not even 100 most days now. Whatever. This morning, live conference in English and French from the UN Secretary General Guterres. And he has had a conversation. He has come up with a new term that might actually, it's a throwback. It's kind of a retro term. And he's got a few other gems. I only got the first couple of minutes of it as he laid down the land. And then, of course, it went into, we need more money. We need more money. Got to spend money.
Very good morning.
Good morning.
Humanity is in the hot seat.
Oh, yeah. Humanity is in the hot seat. What an opening. Good job, Secretary General.
Today, the World Meteorological Organization and the European Commission's Copernicus Climate Change Service are releasing...
There's a service you can get climate change from.
Official data that confirms that July 2023 is set to be the hottest month ever recorded in human history.
Okay. Can we just call that bull crap? That is...
To listen to this, by the way, the local news, they're dropping some gems.
Well,
one guy said it's going to be the hottest in over 100,000 years, as if anyone had a clue.
It's the hottest ever since humans have been around. Yes.
We don't have to wait for the end of the month to know this. Short of a mini ice age over the next day.
Yes. We already know it. Doesn't matter. He's going to say, this is going to be the hottest month on record ever since human beings have walked the earth, unless there's a mini ice age that pops up all of a sudden.
For the end of the month to know this. Short of a mini ice age over the next days, July 2023 will shatter records across the board. According to the data released today, July has already seen the hottest 3-week period ever recorded, the 3 hottest days on record, and the highest ever ocean temperatures for this time of year.
It's a hot tub.
The consequences are clear and they are tragic. Children swept away by monsoon rains.
Children are being swept away by monsoon rains.
Families running from the flames.
You're right.
On fire.
Workers collapsing in scorching heat.
Well, they're collapsing on the basketball court, on ESPN. They're collapsing everywhere. But yeah, I guess from the heat.
For vast parts of North America, Asia, Africa, and Europe, it's a cruel summer.
Cruel. Hey, that's a song. It's a cruel, cruel summer.
For the entire planet, it is a disaster. And for scientists, it is unequivocal. Humans are to blame. All this is entirely consistent with predictions and repeated warnings.
No. You got to listen to the guy. He is this is where the money is being requested.
He might as well be on The View.
For the entire planet, it is a disaster. And for scientists, it is unequivocal. Humans are to blame.
Bastards!
All this is entirely consistent with predictions and repeated warnings. The only surprise is the speed of the change. Climate change is here, it is terrifying, and it is just the beginning.
It is terrifying, and it is just the beginning.
The era of global warming.
What?
No, just keep going. Sorry.
Well, this is his new slogan. Here's the retro slogan.
The era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived.
Boiling.
Oh God. Well, he may be onto something
with the global boiling,
because here's a news reporter reading right from the screen about the hot temperatures in Texas.
Hold on a second. Do you have this?
Yeah, hot temps.
Hold on a second. Oh, hot temps. Okay.
Terrell, and in Dallas, your heat index is 107. Everyone in McKinney is dead. The temperature, the heat index right now in McKinney is 10,000. What is that? 101,105. It's hot in McKinney.
Yeah, I had this clip, but I felt it worked better with the visual, but it fits in well here. But remember, it was global warming, then it was climate change because it wasn't really warming. It started to get cooler. We must remember these things because that was the big joke. This all started around the same time the No Agenda show started with the global warming, with Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. Remember, there will be no more polar bears. Now it's like the things are everywhere. It's like the dangerous.
They're a plague.
But you put them on a sheet of ice floating around and put some music under it. So the polar bears are now a plague. So he's going, and so we had the climate change, but it's just not working. And they made the mistake of saying weather's not climate, and now they're trying to desperately say, well, extreme weather events, yeah, that's climate. And now he's thinking, you know what? I go back and I take the global warming and I make it global boiling. You're boiling like frogs.
The era of global warming has ended. And
he flubs the line too, which must irk him to no end because it's probably his idea.
Era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable. The heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable. Leaders must lead. No more hesitancy. No more excuses.
Do you hear the similarity in the language with Governor Inslee? Leaders must lead. You have to lead. Tell your kids at summer camp to lead. Leaders must lead. Okay.
Leaders must lead. No more hesitancy. No more excuses. No more waiting for the others to move first. There is simply no more time for that.
No more.
It is still possible to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius and avoid
How can that be?
No, because if you spend some money, if we got some money, then it's still possible.
It is still possible to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius and avoid the very worst of climate change, but only with dramatic, immediate climate action.
And climate action equals $. Give me another $. Okay, so
spend.
That's the message. You got to lead. You got to spend some money. We're all going to die. It's global boiling. Of course, we're doing lots of things. I
like global boiling, by the way.
You think it's? You think that's going to work?
No, I just like it personally. I think it's funny.
Well, it is kind of the oceans are boiling. We're all boiling. We're like frogs. It could get legs. We'll see. But of course, we've done lots of things already. We've got great windmill farms ruining our beaches. We've got sun panels that only work when there's sun. Obviously, expensive, break often, and don't really make a difference. We've got we've been electric vehicles. Electric vehicles have been great. The problem is, those new batteries that we're making in Washington when you lift up a rock. They seem to be pretty unstable. I think there's been 50 fires in New York City alone from e-bikes this year.
I had a whole e-bike story that we never played. That there was clips. It's kind of funny.
Well, before we go there,
but you going to talk about the ship?
Yes.
Tonight, a cargo ship loaded with nearly 3,000 vehicles is burning off the northern coast of the Netherlands. One crew member was killed and several others were injured. Boats and helicopters were used to get the nearly 24 crew members to safety. The Dutch Coast Guard is trying to keep the ship from sinking near a habitat for migratory birds.
So this story obfuscates many other boring stories to talk about the electric vehicles that are on board from Volkswagen, the hybrids. And that caught on fire. It went so fast, this fire, that one guy died. 11 people jumped. I was watching some Dutch news. 11 people jumped overboard. But the habitat for the birds. They're not going to put it out. It's called.
I like the angle, the habitat for the birds.
But the birds.
Good work.
Save the birds. Yeah, don't look at that. Now, I had this clip on the last show. We didn't get to play it. This is up in your neck of the woods. There is some other technology as we move away from the inherently unstable lithium-ion batteries that just, man, you're mass bumping like crazy today,
No, I'm mumbling.
Is that? Oh, okay.
I'm bumping the mic myself with my
You want to say something?
Do woods have a neck?
Only in your neck. This is a good question to interrupt my flow with about some linguistic
when you say
issue.
The neck of the woods, my neck of the woods, I'm thinking, what? Where are the woods, A, and where's the neck of the woods?
You can't actually fuck an ant either, but this is a fine example of it. Pardon my French. Okay. In your area of California, which is clearly affecting your brain, we decided that, we're going to do something else for climate change. And your No Agenda show has been on this from the minute we spotted it. Hydrogen. Hydrogen is the way to go. We need everything to be running on hydrogen. Yes, hydrogen. It's when you burn hydrogen, all you get is water. Now, what does it cost to make hydrogen? Well, let's not talk about that. But let's just make everything hydrogen because it's safe and effective.
A huge loss to our community tonight. We have new details on Kern County's new hydrogen fueling station going up in flames. This all happened around 1 a.m. Bakersfield Fire responded to reports of flames and explosions on the property of the Golden Empire Transit, also known as GET. Eyewitness News reporter Mary Pernian spoke with a GET employee about more details on what exactly happened.
Yeah, Michael, Rochelle, at that time of the fire, the hydrogen buses were being fueled at the hydrogen fueling station. Now, the marketing director of the company spoke to me today, and she said several damages are recover. Let's take a look. We see fires happening throughout Kern County and Bakersfield, but this shocking footage of the massive explosion shows clouds of smoke releasing into the midnight sky. The blast was heard and seen from the tanks on the bus that had just been filled. filled. A section of the Golden State Highway was shut down as the Bakersfield Fire Department battled the flames. The company's hydrogen fueling station was damaged, though the hydrogen fuel cell bus was completely burned to ashes.
Yeah.
Luckily, no one was hurt, and the primary tanks of the actual fueling station did not catch fire thanks to safety technology.
The same safety technology that stopped everything from catching fire in the first place?
Janet Sanders, the marketing director for Golden Empire Transit, says more and more of their buses will be moving away from traditional fuel and use zero-emission fuel, like the ones involved in the fire.
Yeah.
The state-of-the-art fueling station opened up just 7 months ago, and since they're the only hydrogen fueling station in town, there will be delays.
You think?
Because we are the only hydrogen fueling station in Kern County, we won't be able to fuel our 10 hydrogen buses. So it could possibly cause some delays in our service because there will be 10 buses out of service.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Hydrogen fuel fires. Fantastic.
Just for a correction for anyone out there listening to the show, Kern County is nowhere in my neck of the woods or nearby. It's like saying, well, Oklahoma City in your neck of the woods.
I stand corrected. I repent for my obvious mistake and cussing. I'm so sorry.
Well, the cussing was part of the ant.
Yeah, that's true.
What's say it in Dutch?
Miereneuken.
Yeah, Miereneuken.
That's going to be a ringtone all over the Netherlands. All right, so back to the heat wave.
This morning, the record-smashing heat wave is expanding. Triple-digit temperatures are possible in the plains and Midwest in the coming days, from Wichita to Minneapolis. And by week's end, temperatures near 100 for Chicago.
And we got smoke, we got heat, then we got storms in the forecast.
It's new.
For the week ahead.
Doctors warn this heat can take a toll on your heart. A new study finds the soaring temperatures combined with poor air quality can double your risk of suffering a deadly heart attack. In Arizona, it's the pavement causing a surge in patients at the Phoenix Burn Center.
We have just been seeing a huge spike in the number of people with contact burns. Most people don't realize that the pavement, concrete, cement, sidewalks, rocks, the temperature of those surfaces can get to be 170 to 180 degrees, which is just a little bit below.
There.
Yeah, I mean, what are people, are they laying down on the pavement? Oh, it's so hot, I think I'm going to lay down on the pavement. How do you get a pavement burn?
Oh, the boiling temperature of water. So it only takes a fraction of a second to get a really bad burn.
Today, Phoenix is expected to see its 26th consecutive day of 110 degrees or hotter. It hasn't been below 90 degrees in 15 days.
We always expect to see some of these cases, but the numbers this year are just off the charts.
Well, it's true. I mean, we've had the heat is so bad around the United States. We've had a number of incidents, heart attacks, all kinds of things happening.
We turn now to the on-air emergency for a sports analyst at ESPN.
From PSG, he's not gone on the tour of Japan. What have you been? What have you seen? Shaq!
A terrifying moment playing out on live TV.
Wait, we need some help. We need medical.
ESPN analyst Shaka Hislop collapsing on air just minutes before a soccer match at the Rose Bowl. The 54-year-old former Premier League player seen stumbling before collapsing to the ground. His co-host Dan Thomas immediately calling for medical staff before the broadcast cut to a commercial. Later at halftime, a visibly relieved Thomas gave viewers an update on Hislop's condition.
It's good news. He's conscious. He's talking. I think he's a little embarrassed about it all. He's apologized profusely.
And now Hislop himself speaking out.
That was awkward. What a 24 hours this has been. Listen, every so often life gives you a moment to pause, and this was mine. There's so much I have to be thankful for. My wife, kids, family, loved ones. My response now has to be to seek out the best medical opinion that I can get and listen to what my doctors have to say.
Hislop ending his message by thanking the ESPN employees that rushed to his aid, saying he'll be back soon.
I'm looking forward to getting back, doing what I enjoy doing most. See you in a bit.
Now, the temperature was around 86 degrees at the time, but still no word on what caused him to faint.
Well, no, it's the heat. Of course, it was the heat.
They tried to shoehorn 86, which is a temperate temperature, which is actually quite nice.
No. People are getting heart attacks and collapsing from the heat wave.
Meanwhile, health concerns this morning for Grammy winner Tori Kelly. The 30-year-old singer is in the hospital for multiple blood clots. She was reportedly at dinner with friends when she collapsed. Sources say doctors are working to determine if her heart is in any danger.
And, I mean, it can be any age. You can be 18.
Tonight, the son of a basketball superstar facing a medical emergency.
Bronny James! Bullseye!
Bronny James rushed to the ER during a practice Monday at the University of Southern California. A family spokesperson saying while practicing, Bronny James suffered a cardiac arrest. Medical staff was able to treat Bronny and take him to the hospital. He's now in stable condition and no longer in ICU. The 18-year-old is the son of NBA legend LeBron James and one of the most highly touted incoming college basketball players. He was preparing for his first season on the USC basketball team. Cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death for young athletes. An African...
What? Is this true?
It is now.
Cardiac arrest is the leading cause for death amongst young athletes? Oh, I'd never heard this.
Cardiac arrest.
They've been saying this for a couple of years now. It turns out, just as COVID started up, that this has been the message.
Oh, okay.
Cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death for young athletes. And African-American college basketball players like James are the population at the highest risk.
By the way, I'm not saying that this hasn't been happening. It's just I didn't know it was the leading cause.
Well, I would like to see some charts.
Yeah.
According to a study
I want to see a time chart.
Yeah.
American Heart Association Journal.
What could have led to this?
There are multiple factors that can cause cardiac arrest.
Oh, okay. I'm very interested.
Whether it's something that they've had, like a disease in the heart, so it's a congenital, or something that they developed after having an infection.
Doctors with this advice for parents of athletes of any age.
Any student that's going to start any sport should do a pre-participation physical. And that includes an evaluation of their medical history, and then also asks the appropriate questions.
Like, are you vaxxed?
Yeah. Athletes, especially someone like Bronny James, LeBron James's kid, they're overanalyzed. It's not like it slipped through the cracks.
Well, there's some interesting analysis, 2 clips. The first one, this is a follow-up from that ABC report.
You mentioned that it's rare. Is it rare in young people? I mean, as young as 18 years old?
Wait a minute. It's the leading cause of young athletic death. How can it be rare?
Wait, what? Beautiful. You're exactly right.
Yes.
If it's the leading cause of death, how is it rare?
This is relatively rare, but again, we do see a few cases every year. I've seen some studies estimating that it's about 1 out of 80,000 athletes.
Well, what? Surely car accidents are the leading cause of death for young athletes over this.
But these stories are extremely scary, and they are important to talk to your doctors about if you have any particular concerns, if you have a family history, or just to learn a little bit more information. Because like I mentioned, some of these cases of cardiac arrest can be attributed to things for the electrical system that are related to genetics and not necessarily lifestyle. But it is still very important to maintain a good lifestyle for overall heart health.
The electrical system. Now I'm interested. The electrical system.
This doctor sounds more like a guy who does
transgender
surgeries.
Let's check out NBC's analysis.
Tonight, the son of a basketball superstar facing a medical emergency.
Bronny James! Bullseye!
Bronny James rushed to the ER during a practice Monday at the University of Southern California. A family spokesperson saying while practicing, Bronny James suffered a cardiac arrest. Medical staff was able to treat Bronny and take him to the hospital. He's now in stable condition and no longer in ICU.
Can you stop it for a second?
Sure.
They played the exact same B-roll that the other network played.
Yeah, of
which
course.
Makes me think this is a package.
Yeah.
You don't dig up the exact, out of the blue, coincidentally have the exact same B-roll. Bullseye, it takes a shot, it's good for 3, and whatever, it's exact same B-roll.
Well, that's all that, it was they had to license everything else from the owners of the NBA. And NBA only released one. That's probably what happened. NBA had pre-licensed this.
But he's not an NBA player. He's got nothing to do with the NBA.
Well, then
he's a college player.
I'm full of crap. I don't know what I'm talking about.
He's a high schooler that just he hasn't even played his first game for USC. It's got nothing to do with the NBA.
Do you think that he has a shot at his career now, or is this going to be
he'll do a comeback. He'll be fine.
Okay. He's now in stable condition and no longer in ICU. The 18-year-old is the son of NBA legend LeBron James and one of the most highly touted incoming college basketball players. He was preparing for his first season on the USC basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
Cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death for young athletes.
It's the same script even. It's the same script.
Are you sure you're not playing the same clip?
No, I'm very sure. Well, am I playing the same script? No, I don't know. Oh, man. Maybe, you know what? I think I have a heat stroke. Let's try this one.
But we did begin with that break.
In Texas.
It's the heat in Texas.
It's killed the whole town.
It's the same clip. No wonder they have the same B-roll. Wow. Okay. Embarrassing boomer moment, everybody. Sorry.
But we do begin with that breaking news on LeBron James' son.
I need a booster.
Bronny James in a Los Angeles hospital right now after suffering cardiac arrest during basketball practice at USC. In a statement to ABC News, a family spokesperson says that Bronny is now in stable condition and out of the ICU. That spokesperson also asking for privacy for the family and says LeBron James and his wife Savannah want to publicly thank the USC medical and athletic staff for their incredible work. Bronny James is a highly touted prospect and is expected to play in the NBA after his college career. Yeah. For more, I want to bring in ABC News contributor and pediatrician, Dr. Alok Patel. Yeah. So, Doc, let's just start with how something like this could have happened. You know, he's a star athlete, presumably in peak physical condition, right? He's only 18 years old. I mean, we saw what happened to Damar Hamlin. Sometimes these things happen just unexpectedly, even when you're a healthy kid.
Here, that's exactly right. You know, when we do see cases of cardiac arrest in young, healthy individuals, which I have seen in the hospital, it's usually due to something related to the heart's electrical system.
I've never heard this electrical system thing. So they are doing this. This is another clip where they're doing the electrical system bit. But find that interesting. Maybe it's absolutely correct, but
for some reason or another, their heart stops, and this can cause people to collapse, lose their pulse, feel faint. All of these things can definitely happen. With Damar Hamlin's case, it was a direct blow to his chest, but in other cases, it can be something people.
That was the same with the NBA player, with the NFL player.
No, that's who he's talking about. Hamlin is the NFL player.
Oh, he's talking about Hamlin. So
I remember this situation very. He wasn't a direct blow to his chest.
No, it wasn't.
He was standing there in a kind of a huddle, and it just died on the spot. I mean, he literally died, but they snapped him out of it.
We're almost done here.
Feel faint. All of these things can definitely happen. With Damar Hamlin's case, it was a direct blow to his chest. But in other cases, it can be something people are born with, and they may not find out until they do a high-intensity activity. So while it is rare, cardiac arrest in general can affect about 300,000 people a year. So as a broader topic, this is something we should definitely talk about. And different than heart attacks, which is usually a decrease of blood flow to the heart, which people are more common with those symptoms like chest pain, leg numbness, arm weakness, etc.
Well, anyway, if people think I'm talking about the vax, it's obviously not people who are vaccinated. That's just not possible. And you can't say, maybe they had COVID because, COVID wasn't really that bad. Our president even told us just the other day.
We're still feeling the profound loss of the pandemic. As I mentioned, we have over 100 people dead. That's 100 empty chairs around the kitchen table.
The best part is that he continues.
I had that one. I was thinking, Adam will put this one up.
Now, I want to be very clear and say, I feel really bad for these people. I mean, whenever they have a medical emergency, I pray for them to get better, of course. So we're not just, ghouls here. And there are some legitimate issues with the heat. We're under a possible fire emergency here. They've got the water planes, that drop the water. They got them at the airport here, 7 minutes away from us. So anything could happen. And I did receive a request from Sarah, who is in the hill country. And she says, I know y'all don't like to shake the rain stick unless it's drastic, but our well just ran dry in our part of hill country.
Aww.
We live about 15 minutes north of San Antonio, Bulverde. There are many around us whose wells are dry and we have to have water hauled in from Canyon Lake, but the water guys informed us they're going into stage 3 drought soon and will not be able to haul water. We desperately need rain in Kerrville. That's 27 minutes from my house. And here to replenish the aquifer. There are so many people flooding in here that won't stop watering their yards and won't collect rainwater. which we're doing now, she says. We have a homestead with animals and a garden, but it's hard to keep things alive with so little water. This is an SOS. Prayers would also be appreciated greatly. I would like to do a stick shake, even though it will affect me.
You can do this shake, and that will be fine.
It has to.
Because it's a localized situation. You're 20 minutes away. Your stick is right there.
It has to be.
If I do a stick,
I want you to
it's going to affect the entire world. Flooding.
Point it towards me. Point it towards me, and the only what would the backscatter might hit some of Alaska. They'll be okay. I would like two shakes for
okay, I'll compromise and give one half shake.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Woo! All right. Batten down the hatches, Tina. It's coming.
Well, it's about 65 degrees here and it's foggy. Why don't they talk about that? They never talk about how these areas like here, which has been unseasonably cold throughout June. We normally have a nice summer in June. Never happened, and it's still cold right through July. That's a story? Is there a story in that?
That's a good news story. We can't have that. That's no good. No. Can't have that.
Well, if you want to be the only cruel person who will probably do something like make some commentary about COVID.
Yeah.
Ted Nugent.
Hold on a sec. Chris Hines.
Ted Nugent on a podcast. I can't believe this guy. No wonder he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's politically incorrect when he does
the Nuge. What did he do now? What did the Nuge do now?
Yeah. He's just being interviewed.
Would you speak to the people who believe it is a worthwhile vaccine and it is saving lives? Are they just dead wrong? Are they been fed a line from the federal government?
Tim, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the people that went ahead and got the jab. I speak their language. They understand that.
Well, so all these millions of people that got the shots, they're just stupid?
Yep.
The Nuge. Man, I can't believe he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And neither can Senator Mitch McConnell.
A regular Senate ritual interrupted today by 19 seconds of silence, quickly turning to concern for the health of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who appeared to freeze up as he began his weekly news conference.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDA. This week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
his fellow senators, including John Barrasso, a medical doctor from Wyoming,
you want to say anything else to the press?
Eventually helping the 81-year-old McConnell away from the podium. Returning moments later, the Senate's top Republican shrugged off a reporter's question about the moment.
Fine, you're fully able to do your job.
McConnell, who in January became the longest-serving party leader in Senate history, has suffered a series of health challenges in recent years. He had shoulder surgery after a fall in 2019, and he spent 6 weeks recovering from a concussion and fractured rib suffered in a March fall, after which he has sometimes struggled to make out questions from reporters. McConnell's office has been tight-lipped about the incident, saying only that the senator was feeling lightheaded and pointing out that he answered reporters' questions sharply after he returned.
Yeah, they tried to take him out with the pricker.
You know, so I was. First of all, it feels very sad when you saw the video, right?
Yeah, he froze.
Now, do you think that maybe he pooped his pants and he was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?"
I don't know. Please,
because it could have been dementia. That kind of brain freeze that seems pretty severe. I'm no doctor. There's no analysis of that.
Well, there's been a couple of discussions.
Okay.
But again, it's like, you can't get good material except from podcasts nowadays.
Yes, that's correct. Do you have something?
I was talking to Mimi about this, and the conversation went like this. I said, well, I've been watching the reviews and all the fawning things about the movie Barbie. Mm-hmm. But when you listen to the podcasters complain about the movie because it's got all kinds of messaging and it's really woke and it's got all these issues with the, it's propagandistic film besides being an advertisement for the doll. And I said, the best reviews I've gotten aren't the 86%, yeah, it's great, from Rotten Tomatoes professionals. It's from these various podcasters that are moaning and groaning or saying one thing or another on both sides of the debate. They're members of the public that they're not just here's another thing. It's not just the guy on the street who some reporter shoves a microphone into. Michael Curtis did a whole little movie about this, where you shove a microphone into some rando person on the street. And so I thought that movie was great. These are people who put themselves out there thinking that they're spokespeople for I don't know who, but they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're here and they're there. And their material is better than the mainstream.
That's interesting. Of course, it does depend on, and that's the beauty of podcasting, you're welcome, is you really can get all kinds of opinions. I have overwhelmingly heard positive things on podcasts and from our own producers, interestingly. Do you have any examples?
I've heard nothing but negative.
Do you have any examples?
No, I didn't bring them.
Well, this is why there's two of us. This is why there's two of us, which is great. I mean, so as an example, we are very skeptical about worldwide pandemics and how they come to be and that there's going to be a next one. But if you go to this podcast, the World Economic Forum Radio Davos podcast, you might think something else.
A pathogen known as disease X, the virus that we don't know yet, but we do know is out there.
Welcome to Radio Davos, the podcast from the World Economic Forum that looks at the biggest challenges and how we might solve them. This week, the next pandemic is a matter of when, not if. So how can the world prepare for disease X?
We can actually gain a lot of knowledge ahead of time about something that doesn't exist yet.
A new book called Disease X says that even though we can't avoid future novel viruses arising, we can prepare for them and prevent a global disaster on the scale of COVID-19 happening again.
When all of that homework has been done, we will be possibly quite a few steps ahead of any new virus before it emerges. We're kind of almost ready for anything that these viral families can throw at us.
Author Kate Kellen says that even in a geopolitically fragmented world, history shows we can still all work together against this common enemy.
The vast majority of the smallpox eradication work was done during the Cold War. The US and Russia were pointing missiles at each other, but they were also sharing vaccines. There was this huge push to eradicate this terrible disease.
Disease X. As far as I'm concerned, Disease X is already here.
Well, I'm sure it's in the lab.
No,
but here's an interesting thing.
It's what Elon turned Twitter into.
100 years ago, there was the Spanish flu. 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And 100 years later, we have this COVID thing, which was probably lab created or augmented from something real.
And there's some evidence about the Spanish flu coming from research as well.
Yeah, well, that seems pretty unlikely considering the era.
Military vaccination research.
And but I find that hard to take. But whatever the case, if the cycle's 100 years, who cares? Why are you putting people in a panic?
Because we need one. We need another panic. This global boiling thing is not working. We know we can get people to stay inside and mask up and social distance and telecommute. That's the only way we can go. Meanwhile, there is truly a pandemic, and I'm sad to have to present this news because I've been warning about this semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy. I've been saying they're too jacked up about it. They're all too happy. Do we really have the research? Do we really know what's going on? And with this report from Dr. Terry, what's his name? Terry Dubrow, we also find out what happened to Lisa Marie Presley. Do you know what she died of?
Did she die of that stomach situation that you're going to discuss?
Yes. I didn't know that. I didn't know she died.
Well, the couple of I talked about this. To play the clip now because I have a thought on this.
Good.
Let's talk about weight loss surgery, bariatric surgery. There are several different kinds. I have read Lisa Marie's autopsy report. She had the most advanced kind. Basically, you disconnect part of the intestines so you just don't absorb as much food, and that's how you get calorie restriction. So she had bypassed part of her intestines. They made a new connection between her stomach and her intestines, and the most common complication when you go inside the abdomen and do that kind of surgery is that scar tissue forms, and that's called adhesions. And occasionally, at any time in the future when you've had this type of bypass bariatric surgery, those adhesions can block parts of the small intestine and cause what's called a small bowel obstruction. And that can lead to a process, if it goes on long enough, called strangulation, where the intestines actually died. Recent studies have shown that if you're on Ozempic type drugs, they can slow down your intestines. They can predispose you to intestinal obstruction. And there may be the perfect, unfortunate storm of previous surgery with intestinal scarring, opioid use, so you can't tell that you're that sick, and further slowing of the intestines by the use of these miracle weight loss drugs that virtually everyone is on in Hollywood. If you're going to go on the Ozempic type drugs and you get intestinal pain, you get stomach bloating, you get pain, you drink alcohol with this, you're predisposed to intestinal obstruction and pancreatitis. And right now, I have 3 of my patients who are on Ozempic, that haven't even had surgery yet, in the hospital, 2 in the ICU with intestinal and pancreatitis just from the use of Ozempic. Nobody's talking about this right now, but we need to talk about it.
All right. You have a comment?
Yeah, this is one of those situations, and I would say the mRNA vaccine is similar, where there's something out there that is being used. Ozempic is used for some diabetics,
yes,
and it's for specific purposes,
yes.
And it may be causing the same effect with patients that are getting it as diabetics, but until you roll it out. And in this case, it wasn't rolled out it was rolled out as on a word of mouth. Let's all get a prescription for it. The doctor sign off on it. No problem.
Through Hollywood influencers.
Through Hollywood influencers, it gets rolled out to the mass market. Then these things start to show up. It's actually like a test market that is, it's a life and death test market, but it's because of that. This drug could be used for the next 100 years without anyone noticing that this is probably the main problem with this thing, with this horrible product.
Well, all these products are problematic. Now, I have a Bobby the K clip I want to play about the vaccine, but first I want to thank Josh Sewell, producer Josh, who in his studio using Waves and Isotope, I guess these are plugins, I think created the cleanest Bobby the K clip of what he really said about the COVID virus. I've been trying to clean this up. We've used the Adobe product. It has not worked. I want you to tell me, and if it's not good enough, John, we'll stop it right away. But we may be the only media outlet in possession of something you can actually hear what he actually said.
And we need to talk about bioweapons. I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book on it for the past 2.5 years, and the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 because of the structure of the genetic structure, genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all those labs in the Ukraine are about. They're collecting Russian DNA. They're collecting Chinese DNA so that we can target people by race.
So still not great, but now you can hear.
But it's not great, and the problem, I think, just miking the guy correctly would be useful.
No, this was just
because there's still too much room ambience and echo.
Well, it wasn't an interview; it was just a phone video. That's why it's so crappy. But now we realize that it wasn't really about his so-called anti-Semitic comments. It's about the fact that we, the United States, and the Chinese are creating ethnically targeted bioweapons, and he speaks of labs, and the Ukrainian labs, all very annoying. So they've moved the goals, they've moved the conversation to, he's a Jew hater. That's what they moved. But the real conversation is, what are we doing? What are we doing? What is everybody doing? This is supposed to be an international treaty. We're not creating bioweapons.
Yeah, it's against the law to do what we're doing. In fact, it's against our own local laws that they had to move the thing offshore to the Wuhan group. Now, I have a series of RFK.
Can I start with my vaccine? I have it from I have two sources because he's become very interesting, this guy. I have a source. One is a piece from Hannity's town hall with him. And the other one is two shorter clips with the Money Honey, which are very fascinating.
My clips are all about the op.
About the what?
The op.
Okay, well then let me roll this one out first. This is from the town hall because it's about he's speaking sense. I was very confused by this.
I'm going to kind of move ahead of you on that. Before you play that, you should play this, which is Jen Psaki doing an RFK Jr. rap of every reason he's wrong about everything.
Really makes you wonder, what is it that Kennedy stands for that has the right so head over heels for him? Is it his years of work as an anti-vaccine advocate? His repeatedly debunked claim that vaccines cause autism? Is it his trafficking in a variety of COVID vaccine conspiracy theories, including ones involving microchips being inserted into all of our bodies? Are they fans of his recent comments that COVID was, quote, ethnically targeted to spare Chinese and Jewish people? Or is it his assertion that antidepressants like Prozac have caused the rise of school shootings in America? Obviously completely insane and not true. Or that Wi-Fi causes cancer and something called leaky brain, whatever that may be. Or is it his claim that chemicals in the water could be turning kids transgender? I couldn't even cover all of these outlandish, crazy claims because we need to continue with our show.
All right, there you go. I know why you did that. Clip of the day. Well, that's it. That is basically, is it because he listens to the No Agenda show? I mean, that's basically what she said right there. That is thank you for doing that.
Our show and nobody talks about the microchips. That's fringe.
No, that's true. We don't talk about the microchips, nor does he, as far as I know.
I've never heard it.
No. And in fact,
I think most of what she said is made up and part of the op. But okay, now take your stuff, and then I have more other stuff. I have the follow-ups.
Okay, and I have my other clips are op clips too. So let's just reiterate. Let's just regroup here. The current thinking is, and we don't really know, but the current thinking is an intelligence agency is and there's an obvious one, is running this and going to make him president. They're sick of the military-industrial complex taking all the money.
They're sick of being pushed around.
Yeah, they're sick of being...
This is the Great Reset. This is the Great Reset.
Bobby Kennedy Jr. is the Great Reset. And they're sick of the pharmaceutical industry ruining everything because there'll be no one left to spy on. We'll all be dead. And they're sick of the Biden crime family. And I think that op is running reasonably well to get rid of him. And the theory is it would be Biden exits either through impeachment, 25th Amendment, death, sucked into an aircraft engine, and Kamala becomes president for a few months. That gives the party, the Democrats, energy. They want to keep the party going. And then the only guy who will have a chance against Trump would be Bobby the K. Did I summarize that correctly?
There's missing pieces to your summary, but I think that's the overall look at it. That's basically it.
So knowing that Fox News is run by Democrats, and this town hall was held in New York, and the enthusiasm of the crowd. Now, was it across the board? Was it people who were agnostic? Or were they independents? Was it Democrats who were excited? I think you'll find most of them in New York. Or they found a whole bunch of undercover Republicans who like it. They were hooting and hollering. And one thing's for sure, they really buy into his version of what should have happened when COVID hit.
What would you have done differently and when? At what point? In other words, would you have allowed the experimental vaccine to be produced? Would it be only for older people? Would you have had mask mandates? Would you have any school shutdowns? And if you took those policies on, do you not run the risk if there's more human contact, a virus we didn't know a lot about early on? We still don't really even know enough as far as I'm concerned. What would you have done differently?
I would have done everything differently. I mean, number one, the first thing that they should have done is to use they use the internet in many, many ways, usually to censor doctors and physicians who are trying to say, hey, I'm using a treatment, a protocol that actually works. I'm using therapeutics that work. Those people are silenced. We should have done the opposite. We should have used the internet. We now have this extraordinary resource to link ourselves to the 15 million frontline physicians around the world and have them report what treatments were they using, what was working. We know now there were dozens and dozens of therapeutic drugs that were off-the-shelf drugs that obliterated.
Are you talking about HCQ? Are you talking about
Notice Hannity saying HCQ because I guess he's not allowed to say hydroxychloroquine. He has to kind of use code now.
Now, there were dozens and dozens of therapeutic drugs that were off-the-shelf drugs that obliterated.
Are you talking about HCQ? Are you talking about ivermectin?
Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, but famotidavir, many others.
And then what? Listen. Now, what kind of crowd is this? That can't be a bunch of Democrats who are applauding these alternative horse paste. Is that Republicans? Are they there sitting? Or is this rent-a-crowd? I mean, I'm confused.
I think it's got to be rent-a-crowd. These are shills.
But famotidavir, many others. And then I think there's a list. Yeah. I think I've seen a list that Peter Corey and Dr. McCulloch have published. Peter McCulloch of about 20 different drugs that were just devastatingly effective against those. But the problem was not only did they not focus on those, but they tried to prevent the public from getting access to them. And the reason for that was because there's a little-known federal law that says you cannot give an emergency use authorization to a vaccine if an existing therapeutic drug that has been approved for any purpose proves to be effective against the target disease. So if they had admitted that hydroxychloroquine, which they knew from day one, that it worked against COVID, they could not. It would have killed their 88 billion.
Henry Ford Hospital, after the fact, came out and said that taken early, it mitigated symptoms. That's what I took out of that. And there were other studies that followed. I never saw one on ivermectin that showed it was effective. However, monoclonal antibodies seem to be a therapeutic that worked very well.
I love how Hannity really ate the narrative. Like, oh, no, that's all debunked studies. It's no good. And so here's Kennedy first speaking the truth, because that's exactly how it works. You can't have a vaccine, certainly not under emergency use authorization, if there is a treatment for it. So that's why these treatments were basically deplatformed. Hannity is now saying, well, there's no evidence of that.
But that was also...
Which is just the opposite of the truth. And we have documented on this show almost 1,000 studies showing that ivermectin is very effective. And I have an ivermectin clip with Kennedy coming up where he outlines this himself.
He's doing it now.
And I don't know how I didn't see this, so I don't know how he handles Hannity. This is Hannity lying.
Yes.
And that showed it was
well, let's also back up, because I have listened to his radio show a lot, because when I'm driving, if it's on, I listen.
I'm sorry.
He was a huge promoter of the monoclonal antibodies, which were then adapted in Florida, and then it turns out that they stopped working with the first variation, which was a problem. But he liked to he loves to pat himself on the back about these monoclonal antibodies.
Well, as you'd expect, Bobby DeKay answers it correctly.
I never saw one on ivermectin that showed it was effective. However, monoclonal antibodies seem to be a therapeutic that worked very well, but that was also experimental.
Well, the thing is, you don't know about those studies because the press is not reporting them. But you go to Meryl Nass's website, Dr. Meryl Nass.
Claps. Whoa, wait a minute. What? This is not okay.
Sean, we got to stop terrorism, or Harvey Risch, who's one of the world's leading epidemiologists at Yale, and they have lists of 199 studies that show that ivermectin is on average about 85% effective against serious disease. And
Sean, okay, this audience is not doing what they're supposed to. Get us out. Get us out.
Studies that show the same about hydroxychloroquine.
I got a break. We'll come back. More of our exclusive town hall. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for the hour.
Of course. To go to commercial.
This is funny. Well, since you played it, I think I should. This one. He went on the Hill.
Yeah.
On that show, The Rising.
Yes. And the woman there hates him.
Well, she's black, so she hates him because she...
No. Who's the...
No, you're thinking of the old crew.
Oh, the old Hill, yeah. No, I don't know about the new Hill.
No, the new Hill's got some doofus and a black girl.
The black girl thinks he's a racist, let me guess.
Well, she kind of does, but it's not where the clips head. This is a two-parter. It heads to the same discussion of ivermectin, where the guy gives another... I have no idea why this keeps cropping up, and the Kennedy really does a good job of shutting him down. But since this is a two-parter, you got to start with part one.
Blacks were dying in our country at a rate of 3,000 people per million population. In Haiti, which is a poor country, we were told the poor countries were going to be devastated. They had about 1.3% vaccination rate, so almost nobody was vaccinated. And they were dying at a rate of 14 people per million population. So 1/200th of our death rate. The same in Nigeria. The average in Africa was about 320 per million population. That's 1/10 of what we had here. So it's unclear. These are all things that need to be studied. But I never believed that it was because I think it's unlikely that it's because the virus is more virulent towards Africans.
Could those discrepancies, those differences in the lethality of COVID be attributed to different ages of the population? Yes. I don't know exactly, but the average age in Haiti is probably younger than here and things like that.
Yes, there are many other covariables. And it's interesting. I mean, these are things that should be studied. So I don't think you can make any conclusion from them. But, for example, Japan, which has the oldest population in the world, had a death rate about 1/10 of the United States. So, these are things. NIH is a $42 billion annual budget. We ought to be looking at that. and saying, why are some people surviving? One, is it because they took ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine in this country? What are the protocols? What are the other differences, so that the next time we have a disease like this, that we actually have some knowledge about it.
Just an observation before you go to the next clip. He's almost your age. He's 69, I think. And it's fun to see that no one has a problem with him calling African Americans blacks, or the blacks, as you might say. They're missing an opportunity to call him a racist.
Well, I think since this is an op,
they're not going to. Yes, there's a lot of Hollywood has also not come out against him yet because of his wife. There's all kinds of stuff that doesn't add up.
His handler, you mean?
His handler, yes, his handler, Cheryl the handler.
So here we talk about the ivermectin again, and this time this guy is just a stooge. The guy from the Hill, when it comes to these things, and it's almost again like it's a testing ground for how this is what you're going to be hearing. How do you react to it? And I think this is one of his better reactions to it, much better than the Hannity one.
The real questions that you'd want answered are not studied, and that is frustrating.
Do you think there's, they talk about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. I looked at a lot of the studies. It seems pretty mixed to me. I haven't seen a lot of compelling evidence that they did a lot of good. I've seen one argument that ivermectin, which can help you if you have a parasitic infection. Well, if you study the countries where that's more prevalent, where they did a lot of the ivermectin studies, there was a good outcome, but it wasn't because it was fighting. It was making it easier for you to recover from COVID if you also had a parasitic infection at the same time. So I wonder if there's a skew on the slight positive that have you heard this argument before? So it wouldn't be able to help you in the U.S. because there's not widespread parasitic infections.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked very, very carefully at the studies. There's now, in fact, I just did an article this week. There are now 100 studies that show that ivermectin had profound benefits, generally speaking, a 70 to 85% reduction in hospitalizations and deaths. It was really a miracle drug, particularly in the later pandemic.
I'm saying if that was all in like Bangladesh or South America, it could be because
it was all over the world.
Off parasites.
It was all over the world. The countries where they use it for parasites, Nigeria, which has the highest river blindness burden in the world, did have the lowest COVID death rate in the world. They use both. They also have the biggest malaria burden, so virtually the entire population is on hydroxychloroquine. And a large part of the population is on ivermectin for river blindness. So, and they had almost no vaccination. They had, I think, something like 1.3% vaccination. So they did very well. But there are states in India, sort of side-by-side states, like Kerala and Uttar Pradesh, where Kerala used our protocol and had the same comparable death rates. And Uttar Pradesh used ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and ended the pandemic overnight.
So I like that he's answering it that way. I do have a problem with this. So obviously the obvious thing to say would be, well, causation is not correlation, just because. Could be other things. Maybe that's why it targets black people heavily. But you could also, what he's also saying, although he's not really pointing that out, is that the countries where people didn't get vaccinated, less people died. So was it ivermectin or was it people getting killed from the vaccine?
Yeah, well, there's that. But I think he's also taken into account the pre-vaccine era.
Okay.
Which was a year.
Yeah, but
that was a year of data.
Yeah, it was like flu level deaths.
Well, there was a lot of deaths in the first year in the nursing homes and places where they were placing these people.
Yeah,
but there was virtually no deaths in that one area of India where they were using ivermectin. We did this story.
That's true.
Where they used ivermectin, and then someone came along and said, "No, you can't use it.
Take away the packs, the Z packs,
and
whatever they had."
They took away those Z-Vac packs or whatever they're called, and then the COVID cases jacked way up, and the public demanded to get these things back.
Right.
And so they started using ivermectin again, and it went away. In the one case that he cited, the whole area was free of it.
All right, I'm going to withhold my clips. I want you to continue with your Bobby the Op.
Well, the only ones, these are the only two, I got two left, which is the Op, kind of more of the Op clip, which is the way I'm seeing the Op, is to equate Kennedy with Trump in his run-up.
Mm-hmm.
And then start to pull out the pins, the underpinnings that show that he's not the same as Trump. But to get the popularity up, you have to make him Trump. Well, otherwise, why is he so popular? Well, he's just another version of Trump, and so that will go on for another month or two. But I have clips to prove this.
Okay,
my Trump clips, and this is RFK compared to Trump. And I believe this is on Fox, I think, but this is clip one.
And here's how you know that RFK is getting under their skin. The media is now comparing him to Trump.
Parallels between Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr. are kind of stunning. They'll throw these grenades out and let them explode and then walk away and go, oh, I didn't do anything.
We have now opened this can of worms where kind of contrarian, eccentric candidates are running, and it was Donald Trump first in the Republican Party, and now we're seeing it in the Democratic Party.
Okay, yeah, that was Judge Jeanine, so definitely Fox.
Now, it has the idea is to not only do the parallel at first, but this will also suck away certain discontented Trump voters. Oh, he's kind of like Trump, and let me take a listen to what he has to say. Then when you hear his messages, which are the ones that Psaki outlined inaccurately, you start to see that he can take he's taking votes away from disgruntled Trump supporters, and there's plenty of those.
I have not wanted to enable his
right, good, stop. I'm sorry, I should have set this up right. So this is a continuation of the first clip of these different people on MSNBC equating him with Trump. And this is, I saved this last one and put it aside. This is Larry O'Donnell, Lawrence O'Donnell, whatever he wants to call himself. He decides to do this kind of a bit where he doesn't say it, but he brings up something which I think in the Op it's not allowed to happen. You're not supposed to talk about Kennedy's heroin addiction.
Right. That is almost no one knows this.
It's just a no-no.
Yeah.
And so O'Donnell feels obliged to kind of at least suggest it. He doesn't say it, but he suggests it in a very awkward way. And I think he's going to get, if he's, and I believe he would be part of a giant Op, will be reprimanded for this because it's a little too close to home, but he never pulls it off. And I thought it was total chicken shit if he's going to pull something like this and not actually bring it out or say it. And nobody said it. Nobody's brought it up that Kennedy is a heroin addict, but listen to this.
I have not wanted to enable his access to the drug addiction that he has never conquered. The drug addiction that has been with him for all of his adult life. The addiction to attention.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
That's what I thought.
Well,
wow.
I have two. Now two clips. One where he excoriates the intelligence agencies in an appropriate manner, which is actually I've never really seen done before, certainly not on a Fox property, although this is the Money Honey on Fox Business. So this is all dry run. No one watches that.
Yes, dry run.
It's a dry run. And Maria's great. I mean, Maria's read in on it. Man, you are bumping your mic like crazy.
I banged it with a glass full of water.
Well, stop it.
Sorry. Tell me I did that.
You keep doing it.
I don't keep doing it.
Yeah, it's the stocking thing. It's the plop filter that's hitting your mic. I'm telling you.
No, it's not even near it at the moment.
Okay. It's all right. You want to be a professional. So it's a dry run, but it's actually the best explanation in under a minute of exactly what happened with the deplatforming of doctors and everybody else for any reason by the by all the agencies.
The alarming thing that's come out in Judge Doty's decision, this is a federal district judge, just issued a 155-page decision forbidding the White House from having any contact with social media companies because it abused those contacts so badly over the past 3 years. What we now know is that the White House had deployed an army of federal agencies, including the CIA, the FBI, the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, the IRS, and many others, to threaten Facebook, Google, and Twitter with withdrawing their Section 230 immunity, which is an existential threat. Those companies cannot exist without that immunity. And they were told that if they did not censor the president's opponents, critics of these policies, that they would lose that immunity.
Unbelievable.
Maria, unbelievable. That's a very clear explanation of what happened. I don't think I've heard anyone say it that clearly. That they've threatened them with their, and Section 230, if you don't remember, is the section in the telecommunications law, that says a platform that hosts user-generated content, as I think that's what they called it when they wrote this, it was still called UGC, that you cannot be held liable for what someone says on the platform. Which, by the way, I'm now kind of thinking we should just remove that. That would solve, that and taking away pharmaceutical commercials would solve a lot of problems in the world. Get rid of that immunity for them. Now, he mentioned CIA, FBI, IRS, DHS. Did I miss one?
Everybody wants to get in on the act. If you can push people around to promote your messaging as opposed to theirs, you would do it.
So
why wouldn't you?
So, yeah, go ahead.
I should mention there was a case against it was against Google or somebody and it had to do with Section 230. And I've always been personally of the opinion that if you're a publisher, you're a publisher. And that's what Google, or let's say Twitter, it's a publisher. They're publishing this stuff. And yeah, it's user generated, but so is like the news stories in the New York Times. They're generated by reporters who are paid to write this stuff, but it's still kind of user-generated, and they also have letters to the editor, which are user-generated, and they feel obliged to edit these things, and so they, to keep liability issues at bay. And I've always felt that this should be the same with these other guys, and so there's this case against one of them, and it was, I wish I could remember the details, because I called the attorneys and volunteered myself as an expert witness.
Pick me!
Well, it was right up my alley, the case. And I talked about this. I said, yeah, it's a disaster. This 230, I went on and talked to this lawyer. He says, he said, well, we're not going to use you. There's no way. He says, because you think that 230 should be abolished. And he says that we're making this lawsuit on the basis that it should be in play. And to this day, I can't figure out what their logic was in this case.
Maybe money? You think?
Well, there was that. It's always that.
Okay, so now this next clip I think is an important one, because this is either we have the wrong agency in mind for this op, or it's a stress test. Because this comes right out of this after he's excoriated these agencies, and now the money honey, who, by the way, during his answer is looking at her phone. Very weird. And you can she's looking, because it's live.
She's looking for the answer. They're on it. Yeah.
Yep. And so this was the next question.
Back channel.
It was clearly the back. And it's very rude when you're in the setting and they're both at a desk and you can see her looking at her phone, just scrolling through or tapping some stuff. So that's a text message in my mind.
Gutfield does this on his show all the time.
Yeah.
He was doing it the other day. He's back channeling somebody on his phone.
Man, you listen to Hannity, you watch Gutfeld. I mean, dude, get some balance in your diet.
I got balance.
All right, now listen to this.
There is this network in place. I mean, Trump calls it the swamp. Others call it, just this network of establishment that is hard to get around. I've seen your comments about the CIA and the assassination of your uncle and father, that they were involved. How do you get get and break this enormous network?
Well, you have to. I mean, you have to do it agency by agency, because the fulcrum of the corruption of this corrupt merger of state and corporate power is happening within the agencies, and each of those agencies have different issues of the agency that have promoted and prompted the capture of those agencies by the industries they're supposed to regulate. With the intelligence agencies, in many of them, although not all of them, are now serving the purpose of enriching the military-industrial complex and expanding its power for some military contractors. My uncle recognized this, that the function of the CIA had devolved into providing the military-industrial complex with a constant pipeline of new wars in order to enrich military contractors and expand the power of the intelligence apparatus.
Unbelievable again. This, to me, is very interesting, this answer. So he is saying not all the intelligence agencies are bad, and then goes on to say, but CIA, all they do is provide a continuous pipeline of wars so the military-industrial complex can enrich itself. How do we analyze this?
Misdirection.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. You know, it can't obviously be an op when he's critical of the agency that we're accusing of running the op. I think it's gorgeous.
I was very impressed by this whole sequence, and it went on for like 8 minutes. It was all didn't clip anything else, but I thought, wow,
be the CIA. Look at him; he's bitching and moaning about it. But the complaint was it was milk toasty. If you think about it, so what?
That's the one thing they're going to stop doing, huh? They're going to stop creating a pipeline for the. That's true. Hey, we create this pipeline and we get nothing from you guys. We got to smuggle drugs and arms, and you guys just get it above board in the NDAA. It's possible.
Yeah, the thing is, you make just as much money without having to manufacture anything if you're just the arms dealer.
Yeah.
Hey, 50% markup.
Hey, with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage. Say in the morning to you, the man who put the sea in the climate war. Please say hello to my friend on the other end, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John C.
Hey, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships, sea boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water. And all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the trolls in the troll. Hold on. Stop. Wait. Don't move.
Choke out.
Hands up. Wait. They're moving around. 22-17. It's a blowout. It's a troll blowout.
That's a big number for a Thursday. Anything over 2,000 is a big number.
It's a troll blowout today. Hello, trolls. Good to have you here. You are welcome into the donation segment of the show, where we have a couple of special things today, which includes our interview and our winning numbers for the lotto. Actually, I got a note from the producer Adam Mackler. Adam, I enjoy your show occasionally and write to you rarely. However, hearing JCD's theory on the MPC TikTok streams being high-end number stations, which you said, then you're sticking to this theory that the lick, ice cream, banana, whatever, is high-end number stations, juxtaposed with your donation segment wherein you read off amounts that people donate, was just too ironic for me to let pass without comment. Indeed, we are a number station. That's exactly what we are. We're handing out numbers. We've got trolls and perhaps agents, intelligence agents, sending out messages around the world through this show in the donation segment in the form of numbers.
Yeah.
You think about it. That's very, very possible. I'm blown away by your prowess, producer. So trolls are always collected. They are all together in the troll room. Now you can listen along with them, troll along by going to trollroom.io. That's a web page, and you'll see a little login. You can participate in the troll room, and of course get No Agenda Stream, which you can also listen to at noagendastream.com, or get a modern podcast app. This is truly the way to go. You're going to want it because they're going to start deplatforming podcasts again across the board. The ones you like listening to will be taken off Apple, and when they get taken off Apple, they get taken taken off other apps that suck off the Apple teat. But if you've got a Podcasting 2.0 app, a modern one, you not only will not see your favorite podcasting platform, but there's 25 new features, 60 apps and services are available, and you can find it at podcastapps.com, including the Troll Room and live stream. It's all part of the new wave of podcasting, which is open. New wave, open and protected. You can also, and I think it's time to consider a purge of noagendasocial.com. We've got people who want to come into the system. We cap it at 10,000. I'm going to ask Aaroner if he would consider purging. So anyone who hasn't used their account for over a year will be purged, and then we'll let some new people in. You can follow Adam at noagendasocial.com. You can follow it from any Mastodon account that believes in free speech. And John C. Dvorak at noagendasocial.com. By the way, I did an interview on Hill Country Patriot Radio the other day, which is like everybody here in Hill Country listens to it. I would say it's MAGA, it's Moms for Liberty, it's the Tea Party still exists out here. And Matt Long, who hosts this, he says, I really love Dvorak. He always sounds like he's 2 shots from being shit-faced. And I thought,
why is that?
I don't know. He says that's just what you sound like. I could not agree.
It's kind of the voice I have.
I could not agree. Oh, and before, so this is the donation segments. This is where you get all the special info. We had Nick and Suzanne over for dinner. Suzanne Santos, she's the songwriter who loves us, who was on Rogan talking about how much she loves us, and her husband Nick, who created, wrote, and produced the HBO hit series True Detective, seasons 1, 2, and 3. Very successful.
That sounds like a winner.
Yes, very successful.
For a dinner.
So he's the guy that told me that once they hit July, they were going to screw the writers. Remember this conversation?
Yeah.
So I said, well, what happened? He said, well, we hit July, but then the actors went on strike. We had it all set up. And he says the industry currently does not think these strikes will be over until the new year.
Until January 2024?
Correct. And he says the streamers love it. They're just pushing their catalog. They don't really want to make any new stuff. They don't have the money. It's not working.
They got
out.
Plenty of old stuff that nobody watches, so they can just repurpose it.
And he says their stock prices are going up because everyone knows that they're not going to be spending any money. Their CapEx is going down. Stock price goes up. He says they're loving it. So there you go.
What is his take on the whole thing? Does he think that the writers and actors have been suckered?
I don't want to speak for him, but it sounds to me like he feels the writers are being completely unrealistic.
So unrealistic.
Yeah. But again, I don't want to speak for him because industry people listen to this, and I don't want people to think he's a douchebag because he's a really sweet guy. And man, they're like, oh, we want to live in Fredericksburg now.
Where are they from?
They live in Austin. They both.
Oh, they got to move out of Austin.
Both of them escaped California to move to Austin when COVID hit. That's why, and that's where they made
Austin's become California. It looks like San Francisco.
Well, believe me, they're both seeing this. And they're like, now she's 6 months pregnant, so I don't know if she wants to move before the baby's born
tomorrow. But
well, they were looking on Zillow all the way home. Anyway, Value for Value is the name of our game. That's how we can actually bring this information to you. If you think any of the things we said here today will be possible with sponsors, yeah, we might be able to get Squarespace, maybe. But I'm even doubtful of that because the topics we discuss are polarizing, and we don't sugarcoat it, and we certainly don't self-censor. The only way to do that is by having listener support, and we don't have listeners either because we have producers. That's how the model works. We give you value 6 hours more than that per week. That's a full season on Netflix and Amazon. That's the type of entertainment and content we bring you, which makes a lot of people feel relieved, makes you feel safe, makes you feel loved, makes you feel like the world is not burning around you. It spins you down in the spun up world. And all we ask for is that you return that value in whichever manner you can. Very few people do this. Very few people return value, but the people who do it with time, talent, or treasure. So we have all kinds of time and talent being applied. It's really wonderful. The servers, the shops, the jingles. I mean, just so many things are being created for us that it's the only way to make it work. When you hear a podcast, Spotify, by the way, is basically going out of business. Again, they lost $250 million again. And now, we're going to raise the price. That'll help. The record companies are about to, and the publishers are about to raise their rates on them again. They fired the whole podcast division. You can't monetize the network. It's a bad idea. All you need to do is ask people to return value, and you can't do it when you have hundreds of producers. Oh man, there's this one lady producer, and she's like, I created the Harry and Meghan podcast. It was me. Producers deserve the credit. Okay.
Ow.
Yeah, I know. She's an ex-NPR person, so I understand where it's coming from. Anyway, but we just ask you to provide that value back, and an easy way to do it, which everybody can do in any amount that shows your value, is through Treasure, and is by going to Dvorak.org/NA and keep us on the air. I mean, if we don't get value back, it ends eventually. So we're very humbled that people have supported us once again. But first, we want to thank our artists, and the artists deliver a very important service. We have some proof that having fresh art to promote every single new episode with is great. It draws people in. It reminds people what a great podcast this is. Even those who haven't read it in the Mueller and the Durham report, because it says right there, we're the best podcast in the universe. So when you see the artwork from Sir Shug, a.k.a. Faux Diddley, people know that this show is switched on. And this was for episode 1575, titled Number Station, appropriately. This was the Crunchy Cricket No Agenda Hot Pocket. And it was hard once again to choose from the variety that was given to us. We liked this. It had the Hot Pocket logo with the No Agenda branding in there. It said Media Deconstruct. A lot of small stuff, but the stuff that was in there, Crunchy Cricket flavor, made with 100% real crickets, eats the bug, saves the world, 33-pack. It had all the memes we're looking for.
Well, let's start with you not liking this piece.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I liked other ones. I didn't
you
like
preferred
anything.
the No Agenda jammed drones piece.
Wait a minute. I did?
Yeah, you did. You liked that piece. And I had to dissuade you by saying it was by Koob the Boob. By saying it was too many. It was light. It was light. It
where was the jammed? Oh, yeah, the like a stamp. It looked like a postage stamp.
It's one of the types we go for a lot.
I thought it was
we go for two things, probably more than we should. One is that look, which is a stamp or a logo, kind of a logo look,
challenge coin.
And the other one is, and as you said with the No Agenda Crunchy Cricket one, it's just another package.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Another package. Yes, that's exactly what I said.
And there wasn't. There's nothing that could top it. Was the problem?
I did actually, for a moment there, consider Commissioner Blogger's Scorched Earth.
Yeah, you did, and that was going nowhere.
All the cocaine shark stuff that had no chance. We're not going to promote Shark Week. Ever.
No, we're not.
Ever.
Ever. We're not promoting somebody else's product necessarily.
No.
Unless it's to mock them.
Yes. Yes. So yeah. Now, and I believe that Sir Shug has actually produced several pieces of artwork never been chosen.
No.
He's come close, I think.
I'm reminded of the guy who puts in his this has happened maybe twice in 15 years. Some newbie comes along, puts in his first piece of art, wins.
Boom. Right.
Never shows up again.
Well, that's possible, of course. That is possible. Well,
winners.
We certainly appreciate you, Sir Shug, a.k.a. Faux Diddley, and we appreciate the work of all the artists. They put their heart and soul into it. You can see it, and but we're going to be honest. That's the one thing. That's some value you get, even if you're not chosen. In addition, Dreb Scott, who does the chapters, if you're using a modern podcast app, which you can see rotate right in your dashboard if you're using the app in the car, he uses a lot of these pieces of art, and it's very funny to see them pop up in conjunction with topics as we're talking about them. Thank you all very much. You can go to noagendaartgenerator.com. As always, you can participate. You can be an artist. You can upload it. It's that simple. Now for the treasure. We're going to thank some executive and associate executive producers. These are real credits. They are valid anywhere that credits are accepted. These days, you can put it on your LinkedIn. You can use it on your IMDb. You can start an IMDb with it. You can become a member of the producer union. It's not free, but you can say, here's my credit. Let me in. And we start with a fan favorite. Once a month, he comes in. Speaking of number stations, it is the one and only Sir Onimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia. Location unknown, vocation unknown, and reason for numbers donated unknown. But man, does he come in and save the month. 2033. And I'm sure there were some $2 bills in there.
Yes, as a matter of fact, there were 4 of them.
And he believes in $2 bills as a messaging system, I guess. And he always sends a note, which we're happy to read. And this is sent through the mail, always from a different mailbox, and typed on... is this printed? I think this is a printed...
It's printed, yeah.
Oh, so we should be able to track that printer with the hidden code.
Could be.
Thank you to all the producers for their hard work. Your media deconstruction and analysis is outstanding. I'm mailing my donation between travel demands. And yes... People, everyone's an expert at something. Email us if you got something to say about something you know something about. John, arranged marriages are not because of people being lazy. It has always been to maintain wealth, power, and bloodline. Daughters have been married to trees, so the sons got larger shares of land and to avoid family bloodshed. Well, this is a history lesson. Families that insist on pedigrees for dogs or horses will do no less for their children to assure their future grandchildren maintain their wealth, power, and bloodline. Separately, I wanted to share a nephew's claim of being LGBTQ using his definition. Let's go by the Quran. Okay, we know something about Sir Onimus. After intense political criticism on the selected removal of adult body parts prescribed as a punishment for theft, please deconstruct the politically supported selected removal of children's body parts by adults as moral high ground. Oh, always with a brain twister in there, Sir Onimus. Rationale such as emotional distress by children should be compared to thieves' often mental illness or steal or starve situation. Wow. Deep.
Something.
Yeah. Sir Onimus, thank
you. This is one of the few notes where he doesn't put NJNK for some reason.
Ha. And more code?
No. We're onward from Sir Onimus to Janice Hall.
Thank you, Sir Onimus.
And she's in Sacto, otherwise known as Sacramento. Today, I mailed an envelope off to the best damn podcast in the universe, which contained this note, a check for $1,000, and a dime baggie containing 35 cents.
Dime baggie.
33 cents is for you know why, and the last 2 pennies are for the Podfather's coin jar.
Thank you.
My donation last year for episode 1451 of $1,000 requested no knighting or anything. This year, however, I'd like to request a seat at the round table to be knighted as the Baronetess of the Rustling Forests. I'd love to have prime rib, a baked potato, and a nice glass of red wine while dining after I'm knighted. John C. Love hearing your new musical instruments while listening to the live show. They keep the show lighthearted while listening to serious subjects. Podfather.
Yes.
No worries over the sound of your voice using your new temporary choppers. You sound marvelous as usual.
Thank you.
Please offer everyone in the Gitmo Nation a double up karma. We all need it this year. John Adam, very best to you and your family's love is light. Janice.
Double up karma by request.
You've got karma.
Now, people, please respect your fellow producers. Your notes are becoming long again. And I'm going to have to start editing on the fly. I don't like doing that. You should edit the way we edit. Jennifer Wilson is in Calgary, Alberta, Scandinavia, $500 executive producer. Hi, John, Adam. Okay, you both really know how to make a girl feel ungrateful. Jeez, I haven't felt that guilty even after a bad date. I was punched in the mouth on a road trip to the Coutts border with my boss in support of the truckers' blockade. I guess he was sick of me chatting the whole way, so he asked, have you heard of this show, No Agenda? I didn't want to admit that I'd never listened to a podcast before. You guys have me laughing all the way home to Calgary, and now I listen every show, sometimes even twice. I'm only asking for a 95% deducing because I did donate last year for Adam's birthday.
You've been
There you go, 95%. I was hoping the same would come up in the newsletter for JCD. Hell, maybe it did, and I was so busy with tax season I may have missed it. I listen to every show faithfully, usually in the mornings in the car. My son thinks I'm crazy when I jump in your conversation and make my own comments or just start laughing so hard listening to the banter between the two of you. I am quietly cheering John on when he is right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, women like you better. That's been established. Yeah, well. First, I have two comments because I know John doesn't like long notes.
This is the middle of an extremely long note.
First, I know COVID is pretty much over. However, the prior NA shows pertaining to Alberta has the highest unknown deaths in Canada hits very close to home. Your June 11th show was the 1-year anniversary of my dad's sudden passing. I believe it had to do with taking 3 killer shots, and I saw it as a No Agenda sign to donate in his honor. I failed mainly because I just couldn't find the words to thank both of you for getting me through the past year. I really do hope the two of you have some sense of importance to a very large number of people. Keep nagging the listeners. It will pay off. We're not nagging. We're just being transparently honest. Second, John, I crack up with every donation segment when you must list the city and towns. I just can't take it anymore. The city in British Columbia is Nanaimo. Nanaimo. Cheers, fellas. I greatly appreciate what you do. Jennifer Wilson. Thank you, Jennifer.
Well, I pronounce it Nanaimo.
It's Nanaimo.
Yeah, well, where is she? Where's she located?
In Alberta.
Well, that's nowhere near Nanaimo. I live within driving distance to this little town, which is north of Victoria, Canada, on the island. And as far as I know, everybody there pronounces it Nanaimo.
Okay, well, stop making... Why argue with the customer?
Well, I'm just saying.
Because that's what we do is the answer. That's your No Agenda show.
Oh, that's my answer, yeah. Vert Fuller, or Wirt, in Batavia, New York, 4/15/96. And he wrote, I sent a check in and wrote a cute little note on a cute little piece of paper with a butterfly on it.
Oh, how cute.
Again, I am sending you my state license plate, which is 41596.
Yeah, I like this idea.
It's a great idea. There must be more New Yorkers with a license plate that ends in NA. Oh, it says 41596 NA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that means, there's got to be thousands of them.
Yep.
And there's got to be many who are listeners of the podcast. Hoping so, I challenge them to send the dollar value of their license plate for the good of the show.
I like this challenge.
It's a good one. This should make me a knight. But what's more important is you're here for me twice a week.
With love.
And
with love?
Is he on the knighting list? I don't know.
He or she? Wirt. I think Wirt is.
Wirt. W-I-R-T. W-I-R-T. Could be a she, but handwriting looks...
Handwriting looks like a she, to be honest.
A little bit.
Wirt is not on the list.
Oh, good.
So what do I do here? Wirt Fuller?
Put it on the list.
Okay. Him or her?
Oh, well, that's okay. Can't you put her on him or her on the list?
No, then we need to get information, man.
New information needs to be coming to light.
Yeah. So we'll do it next show.
Next show.
I'm up. Here we go. We have Troy Peterson, Battlefield, Missouri, 380.08 in the morning, gents, halfway to knighthood. I love you guys, and thank you for the best podcast in the universe. 380.08 is boob augmentation. Thank you.
I think they missed the mark.
Yeah, they did.
Nathan Treywick in San Antonio, Texas, 34543. Jingles. All he's got is jingle request.
Mm-hmm.
Trump, I'm coming. Whole load. Obama, no. And Hot Pockets.
That's it? Oh, that's it. That's it. Oh,
that's it?
No. Yes. Okay. Well, I can do that.
I'm going to come.
I'm sorry. Also, Goat Karma.
See? You screwed me up.
You're right. You're right.
I'm going to give you the whole load today.
I've been watching you.
No. Come on, where was I? No. Hey, listen, I love you back.
Hot Pockets.
You've got karma.
Somewhat lewd.
It's not like it's something new, not like it's new, but okay. Where's my ticket to the bank? Here we go.
Brian Wolf.
Thank you. Please do this while I line him up.
Yeah, he's in Dix Hills, New York, and he gave 33334. Got an extra penny there. This is the third consecutive donation. It brings me to $1,000, and I couldn't be more excited. I will be switching now to a monthly donation to help keep the support coming. Please knight me Sir Wolfpack Ultra. And you're on the list. Can I get a shut up already? It's science, which is an oldie. Obama, take that to the bank. Lone Wolf, and R2D2, Karma. Thank you for your courage.
Shut up already. It's science.
You can take that to the bank.
You've got karma.
333 from Ryan George and 33 cents, our favorite. He'd like to make a switcheroo donation for his smoking hot girlfriend, Danielle Doherty. Your wish is my command. Danielle will get the credit for this, no problem. She said Horowitz takes too many days off. Donate to No Agenda. Oh, no, I'm looking for. Is that what it is?
That's a switcheroo.
That's a switcheroo. Can I have a boom shakalaka? Sorry, Andrew, she says.
Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka.
He says, I should say. Okay, Danielle.
I wouldn't worry about it. He doesn't listen to the show.
He does, too. He listens all the time.
Jeff Green does for sure because he gave us 33333s in Sweetwater, Texas. And he wrote another note on a piece of paper. He wrote it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
Executive producer Jeff Green, Sweetwater. I miss Adam's quote. Adam reads his Facebook comments. By the way, guess who else misses that? Me. Adam, please find an equivalent bit. I've been a douchebag since show 1. Okay.
Wow.
I felt sad imagining life without No Agenda.
There you go.
You're all the best. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
And he wants these clips. Please don't eat me, Bo Jiden, which is what it really is. Trump, they took dumps. And lady, that's true. Love, Jeff.
Is it the Bo Jiden? Well, because there are two. There's the Bo Jiden.
Oh, there is an Eat Me Joe Biden? Well, then play that one. Sorry.
Yeah, well, now I want to kind of play both of them. Why not? Here we go.
Don't eat me, Bo Jiden. You're scary. So scary. Don't eat me, Joe Biden.
They did dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
That's true.
There you go. There you go. Beautiful little sequence.
Is there a karma there at the end?
Well, there is now.
You've got karma.
Notes are long, people. I'm just saying. Now
that was actually a short note.
Kelly Allison is not short.
No, that's what you...
In the morning, this is 269, Associate Executive Producer. Cash is king for now, and my husband and I are big proponents of using it everywhere and often.
Okay, I should probably discuss this. So a box comes in the mail with a couple of cans of soda, which one of them sounds terrific, rose-flavored, sparkling water, and a pile of $1 bills, a pile.
A whole pile. Oh.
Like 200 of them.
Like a dump. Like big dumps.
Like a big giant dump. Mm-hmm. And fives. And I'm thinking, is this a stripper that is sending this money? And her name is Kelly Allison, which is kind of provocative name. I have no idea. But Mimi does the same thing, and she's not a stripper. When she sees one, she puts them in a pile of ones. And so there's this huge, just like people who save their change in a giant bottle.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's her husband's stripper cash, that he was going to use.
They'd keep it.
Well, he was going to
put in one of those guns.
He was going to use it. All right. So do you want to
continue reading?
Okay. One of our favorite ways to save money is to squirrel away $1 and $5 bills at the end of each day into a giant mason jar. This is not a bad idea. Every 6 weeks or so, I pull out the cash, sort and stash. You'd be surprised at how quickly it adds up, and most of the time, you don't even miss the money. Rather than adding this latest something to our little nest egg, I have decided to send it to you guys instead. I could have deposited the money and donated via PayPal, but where's the fun in that? No jingles, just a jobs comment from my husband. And if John could say, I've got hairy legs, that would be great. Thank you for your courage. Kelly Allison, Concord, North Carolina.
I got hairy legs.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right, onward with Sir Ever of the Watt, our buddy. Comes in with 23456, one of our favorite donations from Linwood, Michigan, and has probably the best note of the day.
I think so, too.
And he says, hi.
And hi back to you. Amy Dunn, Greensboro, Georgia. 2:33:95 in the morning. Thanks for making the propaganda news digestible with a hilarious twist. Dame Cece hit me in the mouth in early 2020. This show has saved my sanity because I felt lonely in my thinking during the scandemic before becoming a faithful listener. You get a lot of notes like this. Greatly appreciate your deconstruction of the media spokesholes and smear their bullcrap all over television. I refuse to be programmed. I was a total douchebag for the first 2 years, so I felt the call to make up for it when it hit me how much value I received from this show. I'm in at 2K plus since October last year, so I might be a double dame? Well, a double dame is a baronetess. No. Is that what is two?
Yeah, baronetess, I'm pretty sure.
Is that a thing? Anyway, hopefully I'm officially de-douched.
You've been de-douched.
And have made good for my many months of mooching off other producers. It makes you feel good, doesn't it? I wish now to be referred to as Dame Ams? Double M? Ams? I hope that's right. Dame Ams of Lake Country, and will proudly take my seat at the round table. Protein shakes and Spanish octopus for all. Okay. And then she says, I need to lay off the martinis. Jingles, obviously drunk, 100% karma for all no agenda slaves. Love is lit, Dame Ams.
100%.
You've got karma.
Sir Ramsey Kane, our buddy in Brookfield, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah, good.
23456. He's the one who used to distribute CDs.
No Agenda CDs. Remember those? I still have them. I still find them all over the place.
They're like AOL discs.
Yeah.
Sir Ramsey Kane here for eGunDirect.com. Firearms, accessories, and more at eGunDirect.com. Visit our Butler, Wisconsin location or find us online at eGunDirect.com. Best price.
Sir Lee Furious, St. Petersburg, Florida, 22715. Number stations for sure today. In the morning, John and Adam, this donation brings me to $2,000. I don't know what that means at the round table, Baronet. But it doesn't matter. I request some F cancer from my good friend's wife, Paige. Thanks for your courage, Sir Lee Furious.
You've got karma.
A random check came in from James Lee from Owensboro, Kentucky, 222.33. and give him a double up karma.
You've got karma.
Sir Scott, West Columbia, South Carolina, 202.02, 20202. Attention, South Carolina, we have a meetup scheduled for Sunday in Charleston. See noagendameetups.com for more info. I also know we have listeners towards the middle of the state, so if you're one of those and would like to have a meetup closer to home, get in touch with me on Mastodon. I'm at Max Byrne at noagendasocial.com, MEXBURN. Sincerely, Sir Scott. And he also, interestingly enough, request Trump's 100%.
100%
You got it. That's a good way to advertise your meetup, by the way. Very smart.
Countess Kim in Hubbard, Oregon, $200.69. This is Switcheroo. Happy birthday to the best stepmom in the universe. Can she please get a biscuit for her birthday?
They always give me a biscuit on my birthday.
And some R2-D2 karma. All credit goes to her damehood, Countess Kim, keeper of she's the keeper of the Nutty Fluffers.
Right, but so do I just say happy birthday to, it will just be the best it's a switcheroo or not? Yeah, best stepmom in the universe? Is that what I put in there as the credit?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't give a name, so that's what we'll do. We just want to make sure we do it right there. And she wanted R2-D2 karma. We got that for you.
You've got karma.
Okay, we have Sir Matt, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, $200, associate executive producer. In the morning, Gitmo Nation, has been a bit since my last donation. I hope it can be forgiven. I was slightly dying. No, what kind of excuse is that? Had a minor bout.
Yikes.
Come on, man.
How do you have a minor bout of severe liver failure?
Yeah, well, that's what he had. They aren't 100%.
And they're not 100% sure why. That's great.
But lucky enough, had a successful transplant, and I'm getting better. Congratulations. The No Agenda Show was often playing in my hospital rooms and is our constant road trip companion when traveling for checkups. Yes, I want to say in the morning to Neil and his family, and Seamus, they're traveling back from their checkup. To complicate things, my keeper and my new niece was born 4 days before my surgery, 2 months premature, but she's doing great and finally home with her family. Few requests. Double health karma for myself and my baby Mia to keep us both going strong. Double birthday karma for our oldest niece Molly from Uncle Matt and Aunt Sarah for July 29th and myself on the 30th. Finally, dealer's choice for an appropriate jingle for my keeper Sarah. She's literally helped me keep me alive throughout this time, so make it a great one. No pressure, though. To wrap it up, I encourage everyone to help each other out. From just donating blood to considering donating part of your liver to someone who needs it. Fun science fact, your liver will actually grow back if you donate part of it. Well, no, that's a fun fact.
Yeah,
of course.
Liver's amazing.
Yeah. Liver's a good deal. Tasty, too. Thanks, Adam and John, for going on this journey with us.
With fava beans?
With fava beans. Sir Matt, defender of inappropriately timed sarcasm. And, donating is love, and I have a double up karma for you.
Why? Because donating is love.
You've got karma.
And here we go with Linda Lupatkin in Lakewood, Colorado, $200, and she wants to wish jobs karma for all. For a competitive edge, go to ImageMakersInc.com for all your executive resume and job search needs. That's ImageMakersInc with a K.com. Look for Linda Lupatkin under the show's producer list and run a search.
Jobs. You've got karma.
And our final associate executive producer, where we actually read a note, comes from Sir Fur. And Sir Fur had a very interesting little note. He says, in the morning, John and Adam, please credit the associate executive producership to Mr. Dana Brunetti, governor of El Dorado. He's our big Hollywood bigwig up there. These switcheroo donations will continue until John gets a bit part.
Well, this is interesting for the subtext of the fact that Brunetti hates the idea of being an associate executive producer.
I think that's why.
Such an extreme.
I think that's why.
You don't even know how much he hates it unless you know the guy.
I think I have a feeling this is probably the best way to get you a bit part ever. I have a feeling
he's not producing anything. He says, maybe
he is too.
Yeah, he is.
He
This is actually a pretty good method. Yeah, I have to agree. This is not a bad idea.
Well done.
Let's see how long it goes before Brunetti chimes in.
Surfer, Black Baron of the I-4 corridor. Love is lit, he says. No jingles, no karma. Thank you all very much for supporting the No Agenda show. You all came, the executives and associate executive producers came out in droves today. We appreciate that. We have more people to thank in our second segment. The show's going to go long, affiliates, just so you know. The notes were long. If you'd like to become an executive or associate executive producer, go to our donation page at noagendashow.net or directly to
Dvorak.org/NA.
The credits are real. Thank you very much for supporting No Agenda Show, best podcast in the universe.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Is the climate monster knocking? Is that what's going on?
That's my guess. I have some TikTok clips.
Wait, don't we do ISOs?
Don't we do a second segment of donations?
No, I'm confused. Yes, you got TikTok. Well, then just what am I talking about? Let's go straight to the good stuff.
TikTok, you don't stop. To the TikTok, you don't stop.
Talk TikTok.
Alrighty then. Yeah.
All right, here's I've got 4. I think 3 of these are really good. One's optional.
Is the sound okay? Because sometimes the sound is so bad.
No, there was one with bad sound, and I ran it through Adobe, and it cleaned up like a champ.
Okay.
In fact, I'll play that one right off the bat because we talked about summer camp earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this, but now I know this.
Oh, sorry.
That there's queer summer camps.
So a big, if not the biggest question that we've been getting is how do you become a counselor at a queer summer camp? The easy answer is there's an application that goes online in like April and then they interview you and then you get hired. What I think is important to note is that I swear it was harder to get hired here than it was to get into grad school. Not only did we have to like build and design unique and original workshop content, I'm doing 3 on blackout poetry, flash fiction, and trans masculinity. Campers get here this afternoon, but I've been here for 3 days. We've had anti-racism and anti-bias training and mental health screening, neurodiversity training, way more than I've ever done for public education. Because we take the health, safety, and growth of these kids very seriously. I'm surrounded by some of the most capable people I've ever met. We're here to support future queer leaders, and they need guidance that knows what they're doing. And will I be in drag for a significant portion of the week? Also, yes.
Wow. So do we know the location of said queer camp? That sounds like an interesting little place to visit.
I don't know the location, but I'm sure a deep search will find it. And there's probably more than one. And I'm guessing they're in New York.
I'd like to point out that, the Netherlands was one of the first with Berlin, but Amsterdam certainly one of the first cities that regularly did Pride Parade, which was first it was Pride, then it was Gay Pride. And this year, they have changed it from a parade to not just 1 week, but to 2 weeks of Pride. And it's no longer called Gay Pride. It's called Queer and Pride. Listen to this capture. And this is the slogan. Trans lives, lesbian lives, gay lives, refugee lives, Muslim lives, disabled lives, all matter. I'd say that this has gone a little bit beyond. They've shot past the mark on this.
Hey, you just keep, when you're shooting past the mark and nobody cares, you just keep doing it. Now, here is a queer character telling cis. He says, it starts off with, if you are cis, that would be you and me. And
yes. I reject any categorization, but okay.
Well, okay, I agree with that. But it's directed at what this person perceives as anything but him or her, and what you should be doing for this person.
If you're cis, I want you to message the trans person in your life and ask them what is one thing that you can do to lighten their load this week. Whether that be grocery shopping, folding laundry, doing dishes, ask the trans people in your life if there's a task or something that you can offer them to help with the burden that we're carrying, because we're having to deal with all of this stuff right now while having to deal with all of the life stuff that we regularly deal with. And the regular life stuff that we deal with is life stuff, and then there's transphobia and living as a trans person in the world, and then there's what's going on right now, which is all of that combined. And then send that trans person $5 so they can get themselves a treat.
A treat? A treat.
A treat.
Yeah. Well, this started with send a black person money. That's what this started with.
Well, it's a good bit if you want to, solicit random money from people that don't know who you are. Okay, so that was that guy. Now I have.
Now you're playing these clips for what reason? Just to set me up, or
it's a setup.
Okay.
No, it's just to get these out of my. I'm getting sick of these clips. That's why. Now here's a person describing and then somebody suffering from. This one is an absolute killer. Wing dysphoria.
Hi, my name is King, and I'm a non-human alter in a DID system, and I'm making a Discord server for people who experience wing dysphoria. It is, of course, open to systems with non-human headmates, and it is also open to, I think they're called wingkin, literally anybody who experiences wing dysphoria. Hope to see you there. Other folks who experience wing dysphoria and who get the phantom wings, I know we are all familiar with the feeling of needing to stretch our wings and not being able to, but is it as common of an experience to feel like you have water on your wings, like feel like your wings got wet and you need to like fluff them up and shake the water out, and you can't, and it's frustrating?
Wow, man, I'm actually more on board with the wing dysphoria than anything else. I mean, yeah, I can feel you with your wings. Yeah, that doesn't seem weird.
No, that doesn't seem weird. Oh, brother. Okay, I'll do one more.
Okay.
And this has got nothing to do with queers or wing dysphoria or if you're cis. This is just some self-absorbed woman who is a dick bitching about the fact that people shush her, I guess, when she's at the movie theater because she likes to yak during the movie so no one else can hear the damn movie.
We need to talk about this. I'm about to go to a movie, and it made me think, like, people say, oh, if you want to talk during a movie, you shouldn't go to the cinema. Lies. If you don't want to hear people talking during a movie, you shouldn't go to the cinema. Because, like, isn't the whole thing about watching something with other people in the same room to, like, experience it together and laugh and scream and have full-on analyses about the characters, like, while you're watching it? If you want to sit in silence like a fucking stone, just go home. Like, and yeah, sorry, I'm that person. I am that person. Take me to fucking jail. I'm gonna be disrespectful every time because I will say things. I will say things during the movie. I will say a lot of things during the movie. Yeah, that's me. And that's just what it should be like. I feel like we should change the culture around going and see a movie. It should always be chitty chatty in the cinema. That's just my opinion.
Man, why do you torture yourself watching this stuff? I really don't. I don't understand it. I mean, and you get all pissed off about it, and then you torture us with it. This is not fun. Don't do this. Stop this.
This is good material.
This is not good.
These are people. These are real people out there in the public roaming around. You're walking right by one right now if you're listening to this thing on a headphone. I'm telling you, it's depressing.
And now it's time for our Trans Maoist Agenda update.
Self-destruct initiated.
All right, how about that, huh? You like that?
Not bad.
Yeah,
pretty good. It's slick.
I have different versions. So that's the woman. Tell me if you like this one.
Trans Maoist Agenda update. Self-destruct initiated.
So we have that one. Then we have a more traditional kind.
Now is time for our Trans Maoist Agenda update.
Self-destruct initiated.
And then this has to be my favorite.
Now it's time for our Trans Maoist Agenda update.
Self-destruct initiated.
Which one do you like the best?
Number 3.
The DJ voice?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I don't agree. Anyway, it is time for...
play what you want. Why are you even asking me?
Because I want you to feel loved. So I have to go see this Barbie movie now because I'm getting all kinds of notes from people that it's not part of the trans-Maoist agenda. In fact, it seems to be anti that. So I'm very confused by the notes you were sending me. It seems to be polarizing. People can't quite get a handle on, there's no agreement even amongst our producers, which I find is interesting.
Well, then you're going to have to be the arbiter of the movie.
Yes, I will. Yes, correct. And I'm very sad to hear this because that means I have to go see this movie. I will not go see Oppenheimer, though. I'm not going to see that. It's too long. I don't have time for that.
It's too long. Who has time for it?
All right. Now, I do have a trans-Maoist update because all of the stuff you're hearing in John's TikTok clips stems from a not just national, but an international debate about medically transitioning children. Non-adults. And in the United States, many states have made laws and say, no, you can't do that. And some have been overturned.
Anti-trans!
Yes, it's genocidal, of course. And CBS Face the Nation had a rare moment of having an anti-trans and a pro-trans person on, if you want to categorize it that way. But again, it's about administering drugs and surgical procedure to young people. And the question is the science settle on this? I think that's probably the best thing we can discuss at this point. And how bad is it? How many people need this? Why is this happening? What's going on? What is going on? And this was fascinating. They had on Governor Spencer Cox. He is from, goodness, where is he from? I want to say, I can't remember what state. It comes up in the interview. And his state is restricting gender-affirming care, which is how they categorize it, or i.e. administering testosterone or estrogen puberty blockers to either young boys or young men because a therapist has told them that they are probably the opposite gender and they're confused. And here's his take on it.
I want to ask you, again, on the topic related to kids, there are 18 different states that have now enacted laws that restrict in some way access to gender transition care for kids.
Just love the gender transition care for kids. I mean, it's almost a bumper sticker.
In Utah, you have said that you are just pausing access to that kind of care. You're not banning it. Do you have an end date to that pause? What specifically is the kind of data and research you need to see to say you will allow for it?
Yeah, so we don't have an end date, but we do need more data and more information, and the legislature has been clear on that. Ultimately, the legislature would have to run a bill to unpause that, depending on what that data comes back. I've been very vocal about this. This is such a charged topic that it's been impossible, I believe, to get good information here in the United States right now, because half the country doesn't want to touch it, and the other half is convinced that they already know the answer. And so I've really tried to look elsewhere at conversations that are happening in other countries, specifically in Europe, around this, where it's not quite as charged, looking at Sweden and Finland and France and the UK, other countries where they don't have the same culture war battles that we're having here, where it's either too political or you can't say anything about it, to see what they're finding out. And they're also pushing pause. I mean, many of those countries are saying, look, this is a
specific part of it. Is it hormone treatment, puberty blockers, surgery?
Both, all of the above.
And I'm very happy that CBS had this governor on, because that is correct. That is the truth. The truth is going. Of course, they put him first. Don't worry, the fun is coming. Now let's talk about, and again, he speaks truth about the organizations that are driving this. Not the pause, but driving the transition.
The American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics have said this kind of care, that they've rejected the claims that it is harmful.
Yeah, all very political groups. And again, I believe that they are politicized. Those groups are politicized.
The American Academy of Pediatrics.
I absolutely do. Yes. On this issue, it's impossible to get unbiased information out of the United States right now on this issue. I just don't believe it. So that's why I've been looking elsewhere and looking at scientists elsewhere who have said, look, yeah, we have some old data. This was based on a Dutch study many, many years ago. Looks absolutely nothing like what we're seeing today. We have not looked at the long-term impacts of these hormone blockers. We have not looked at the long-term impacts of these surgeries, and we don't have enough data to support moving forward right now. So that's what we're asking for. So we're working, the University of Utah and other organizations out there that will be compiling research that's being done all across the world, looking at the very best and latest data. We'll present that to the legislature, and then they'll make the decision going forward.
I'm glad that someone is doing this. I mean, he's speaking truth. There are no long-term studies. It's all from research based on 2019, and it's just ghoulish what is being done without any long-term. Forget the reason why. And these politicized organizations. Just because you have American Pediatrics doesn't mean that you're speaking truth or basing it on science. But it's happening.
So just on the numbers, of 73 million children in the U.S., there were just 56 genital surgeries related to dysphoria between 2019 and 2021, according to the study by Komodo Health and Reuters.
Yeah, do you have the numbers on hormone therapy and
in those
puberty
years?
Blockers?
What is the number?
They're exploding. We went from like 10 years ago to several hundred this past year. Mm-hmm. I mean, those numbers, and again,
in
this
Utah?
is in Utah alone. Yeah.
Why do you think it's happening in Utah like that?
It's happening everywhere. And that's what people are trying to figure out. Absolutely. Yeah.
And you don't know what's driving
Well, that's what these scientists in other countries are actually trying to figure out, where in the United States, we're putting our head in the sand and saying, we're not even going to talk about this or look about this. You can't even have a discussion about it. Right. In other countries, they're saying something is happening. Again, going back to this Dutch study, there were a few people, mostly males, transitioning. They didn't have any other mental health issues at the time. What we're seeing now is hundreds, thousands, again, hundreds in my state, thousands all across the country that are making requests for this. Yep. And they're presenting with several other mental health issues as well. So again, totally different than the study that all of this is based on. This is the question. This is what we're trying to figure out. Why are we seeing this explosion in so many countries and really developed countries? We're not seeing this in undeveloped countries. Why are we seeing this tremendous increase? What is it that's driving it? Is it truly? I mean, is it gender dysphoria? Is it something else? Is it a mental health issue? Right. Is it some sort of the social media trend that is driving some, not all? What is it that's led to this moment in time where we are seeing this explosion?
Well, the data is hard. I mean, the numbers we saw, the trend is definitely up, but they're still pretty small in terms of surgeries and mastectomies. But
only in terms of surgeries.
Data.
Yeah. The other data, and you can look anywhere. Yeah. This is not unique. Yes, there aren't a lot of surgeries happening, but the trend, it's not just up, it's up exponentially. It's a hockey stick increase.
It's still a small percentage, though. But I hear your point on wanting more data.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
There's a thing about... it's in sales that you run into this a lot, where you kind of mimic the person that's talking to you in such a way that you develop a rapport.
Yeah, mirroring.
It's mirroring. Mm-hmm. This guy's such a stammerer and stutterer.
She starts to stutter.
That she's doing it.
Yeah. He does have the data,
He is
though.
not a good representative for this side of the argument. I think he's put there on purpose because of that.
Interesting point. Okay. Well,
there are better speakers on this topic than him.
Well, they brought in exactly the right person to speak on the other side of the argument, Marcy Bowers. We've heard from Marcy Bowers before. Marcy is a gynecologist, surgeon who specializes in gender-confirming surgeries, viewed as an innovator in gender confirmation and affirmation surgery, and is also the first transgender woman to perform such surgeries. So she's not only the president, she's a client. Was that Hair Club for Men?
Yeah.
And she's going to refute all of this with, I think, very flimsy arguments.
We're joined now by Dr. Marcy Bowers. She is a surgeon and one of the nation's leading experts on gender-affirming healthcare, also the president of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, which sets global standards for care for doctors in the field. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Margaret, for having me.
Can you back it up? I want to get the name of that organization.
Healthcare, also the president of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, which sets global standards for care for doctors in the field.
Did you get it?
Kind of.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Margaret, for having me.
You've heard our guests talk about transgender issues in the political sense. We've now seen 21 different states pass laws restricting access. And so I want to understand a little bit more about what that access actually looks like.
Stop a second. The use of the term restricting access
oh, yeah.
It's a loaded term. It's not what she should be saying. It's like restricting access to guns.
Yes, exactly. It's the same language, of course.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I mean, she's the media. The media is pushing this. The media is pushing it on people who are jacked up on SSRIs. It's obvious. By the way, I should mention there's a very interesting article in Vogue this month titled, "What Happened to the Male Orgasm?" Young men are so jacked up on antidepressants they can't orgasm, as we discussed. Well, no, they can get it up, but they can't orgasm. This is a known side effect, which is not mentioned in the commercials, by the way.
You know, the governor of Utah was here and said there's an explosion in his state of interest. Are you seeing that as a doctor?
Yes, I mean, there has been an increase in demand for services, but keep in mind...
Services!
Trans identities have been with us since the antiquities. I mean, the time of the Bible and in literature and art history. I mean, there's examples of people throughout. So experts feel that the incidence has actually never changed. But what we are seeing is more people feeling comfortable coming out. And so that explains the rise. So
the doctor is saying, it's been around forever. It's in the Bible. Please, I'd like to know where. And it's since antiquity. So since forever there have been trans people. I'm sure that's probably true. But it's not that people are psyoped or drugged out and convinced to do this by therapists, typically young people. No, it's because we're more free. We can come out now. We can say it. There's more people who are not afraid to say it. So
there's a spectrum here, though, from identity all the way to surgery. So how common is it with surgery for someone under the age of 18 to be able to access it?
Surgery really is not done under the age of 18, except in severe cases.
This is bullshit.
It's total horseshit. And even except in severe cases. What is that? Do you have to be, what is that? What is a severe case?
I have no idea. It's bullshit. You know, the funny thing is this came up at the dinner table. This is a meme that is out there and everyone believes it. Even though there's example after example. In fact, there's a recent case that's just cropped up where somebody's suing the doctors
for $1 million. For $1 million. For $1 million.
Which is low.
Yeah, that's just the start. Oh, yeah. Now, the gun to the head is coming.
Surgery really is not done under the age of 18, except in severe cases, usually top surgery for transmasculine persons. And even that is rare. I think the estimates are something like 57 surgeries under the age of 18 were done for trans individuals.
Well, isn't that amazing? I know 5% of them. Me. If it's really, truly 57, I know of 5% of these top surgeries that took place. So this has to be inaccurate.
You know 2 or 3? You know 2 or 3?
I sure do. I sure do. Yeah, 15-year-olds, by the way. Must have been severe cases.
Severe cases.
Yeah.
Majority of people, though, that do identify as TGD or transgender diverse.
Ooh, TGD. Transgender diverse, a new one.
Don't access even medicine or surgery. It's just a feeling of maleness and femaleness that differs from their birth assigned gender. And gender identity being diverse has lots of inputs.
The birth assigned gender, I have to read you this quick note from Sir Tinley. And my friend and his wife went to an ultrasound appointment, and I figured Gitmo Nation would get a kick out of this. In his words, we went, had our 20-week ultrasound today, and at the end, the lady was filling out the info boxes, and when the sex box came up, she said they don't fill that out anymore. She was told to skip that field. My friend sat there telling himself not to say anything, but he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He continued, "You don't check the male or female box?" And she said, "We used to, but we were told not to anymore." I'm not sure why, though. How about that? So that's your gender.
Yeah, she left out the part where she did it in a Bombay accent.
Yes. I didn't want to get all racial, but yes.
And, well, I'm just saying.
Identity being diverse has lots of inputs, not just hormones, not just chromosomes, not assigned gender, but a variety of inputs, and that reflects the numbers. But they're low, and they'll always be low. The current estimates are about 0.6% of the population, which is about 1.6 million people. Mm-hmm. Might be as high as 2 or 3%. But it'll never be much more than that. The majority of people still identify and are very comfortable with their binary assignments. Mm-hmm. And but this is a vulnerable population that deserves health care.
Okay.
That's 50.
Go ahead.
It's 50, almost 50x.
Yeah.
She says it's 0.06, but it could be 2%. Bull crap.
So it deserves health care. There are other treatments as well, hormone therapies and the like. A lot of these laws that are recently becoming or taking hold are aimed at this young segment of the population. How much research is there into the effects of puberty blockers and hormone treatments of people in this age group?
Right. Well, we have decades of experience with trans treatment overall, and that shows unequivocally that treatment is beneficial. But in this age group,
stop!
It's a lie. It's a lie.
No, she's changed the kind of the conditions of the question.
Oh, okay.
She asked specifically about young people getting all these puberty blockers, and the woman guy, I don't know what this person is, a they them. Switch the conditions of the question to discuss, it's been going on for decades with trans people, not with kids.
Ah, good catch. We'll listen again.
So it deserves health care. There are other treatments as well, hormone therapies and the like. A lot of these laws that are recently becoming or taking hold are aimed at this young segment of the population. How much research is there into the effects of puberty blockers and hormone treatments of people in this age group?
Right. Well, we have decades of experience with trans treatment overall, and that shows unequivocally that treatment is beneficial. But in this age group, we've only been treating with hormone blockers, which is the point of real controversy that people are after since the late 2000s.
Yeah. Also, not really true. It's 2019 is where this really started, right after COVID, when doctors were afraid to talk about ivermectin and were told not to. And now the therapists are told, no, this is what you got to prescribe. There's got to be diagnosis and a prescription of something. This is an untruthful person.
But in that time, there has been research, especially from groups in the Netherlands.
Yes, which I've read in English and in the Netherlandish.
But increasingly here as well. And experience with this, and the results are similar. We're seeing certainly very high levels of satisfaction, improved self-esteem, reduced suicidality.
Reduced suicidality?
So they seem similar to what we've already witnessed in adult populations. But the controversy is that I think people feel like this number is increasing and it's going to envelop their children and spread like a contagion, which is just really a false narrative.
And so now two kickers. So now she's going to say, oh, well, we didn't really mean to say that. This was phony, fake. And now CBS does something good.
There has been controversy regarding your particular group, which set some of these parameters because they removed age guidelines from the surgery recommendations. Why did you take the age guidelines out?
Well, the point of that is that, first of all, what was leaked apparently was the draft guidelines, which we were...
Oh, it was a draft guideline that got leaked, apparently. No, you're ghoulish, person.
Going to consider younger age groupings, but the important point is that...
but that's not important right now.
Care is individualized, and so age isn't really the issue. Generally, it's adulthood, and except in severe cases. And
I want to know what severe cases are now.
Again, a draft guideline means it gets input from around the world with available science that provides input and consensus. So this is what the WPATH standards of care are all about. They're consensus and science-based guidelines. And I want to add, though, that some people say the science is settled. I never say the science is settled. I really feel like science is always evolving. Medicine is always looking for new input and new data. But what we see is promising. And again, this very small subset of the population is worthy of that care, and it seems to be beneficial.
Now, did I just hear at the end here that, okay, yeah, you caught us. It was, we really wanted to do it on young people, but it seems to be good. The data's promising. Are they still experimenting with their decades of experience? That's what I hear.
$72 million a person.
Yeah, but it's $7 million over the lifetime. Final clip about the political aspect, which of course is why this is in legislation and why we have parties battling over this for the Trans-Maoist Society.
One of the things that we heard on this program from the governor of Utah was that he felt that some of the organizations, like even the American Academy of Pediatrics, were too political on this issue. What science are you looking at where you think the politics aren't interfering?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what the critics are looking for is what they call level 1 evidence. Now, level 1 evidence would require a systematic review of all randomized controlled studies in this area. And if you look anywhere else in medicine, about half of what we now accept as routine treatment in any field is not guided by level 1 evidence. Level 1, take for example, cancer treatment or cleft palate surgery, diabetes care. None of those have level 1 evidence because to do so, you would have to introduce a placebo. In other words, a non-treatment to that group. But can you imagine offering someone who has cancer non-treatment?
You're saying
it would be unethical.
There's a different benchmark you're saying is being applied here. Doctor, thank you for your explanations.
I thought that was fascinating. So basically, just like COVID vaccines, all vaccines, no placebo trial, because could you imagine how horrible if you got the placebo during a trial? And there's no placebo trials with cancer or cleft palate surgery? Why did you bring that? So is there any level 1 evidence being presented or studied for anything in modern medicine? It doesn't sound like it. Even weight loss surgery or weight loss drugs like Ozempic, no, they just don't do it anymore. People were under attack from the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, this is kind of interesting that this is continuing. It's going to be, I don't know where it's going to peak. It's got to peak. It's going to have,
you have
peak
the answer.
Trans, peak queer.
You have the answer. When these poor kids start shooting doctors in the head.
Oh yeah, well that could be years.
We have the first lawsuits. That's just the beginning. I think it's much closer than we realize. This is coming to a head. Maybe. I sure hope so.
It's definitely the age group that, especially the younger kids, that have a violent streak. And we've already seen the violent streak from that crazy boy turned girl or girl turned boy or whatever it was. Oh, girl turned boy, which I think is the more dangerous one because they
Nashville
give a bunch of testosterone to some poor female who's not used to it. Next thing you know, she's shooting up a school.
Yes. Anyway. So
Cincinnati quarterback Joe Burrow down.
Yeah. Yes.
Looks like he was running a play, and it was his right leg. It wasn't from the shot.
But I think, just briefly, I need to do something on Africa because it's really heating up in Africa. And we have, it's just okay. I don't know what to do. I have Africa boots on the ground, which I should. Should we take our final break and then and do some Africa stuff, because I think it's really important. Because that's where
I think Africa's important too, so let's do it.
Okay.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And in fact, we do have more than a few people to thank for show 1576, I think. Yep. Yeah, 1576.
Yep.
Starting with Tom Starkweather in Stafford, Virginia.
He's
got a birthday for his dad's got a 74th birthday coming up. $148 from him. Sir Silent Niskayuna. I don't know, have a clue. New York. $133, needs a D douching.
Choke out.
20 on it. What?
I'm setting everything else up. He's a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Sorry about that.
Gridzert Soeverein in Snake, Netherlands.
Very good.
$101.01 with a birthday shout out to his daughter, Jana. Brian Pye in Ashland, Massachusetts, 8008, in support of all the boobs hanging around out here. Kevin McLaughlin, our buddy in Concord, North Carolina. Now he was Charente Melons, 8008 specifically, which is literally a melon. Sir Dean in Beebra Lake, Washington, 8008. Another lover of boobs, he says. Benjamin Ditzler in Kennesaw, Georgia, 6969. He missed the meetup. Sir Spooky in Western Springs, Illinois, 6666, requesting move making karma. We'll give you that at the end. Kevin McLaughlin again, keeping up to pace with these two donations at 8008 plus 6006. And this was a Jade Dew melon donation. So small boobs.
Yes.
Jade Dew is another literal melon. And I've had those. They're pretty good. Actually, the other ones are too. I think the Tuscan melon is my favorite of the group.
You just love melons.
Well, Tuscans in particular. Chad Larson, White Bear Lake, Minnesota. 6006 needs a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
Joey in the Woods in Middleton, Connecticut wishes her husband a happy birthday and a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
She came in with 5964. Baron Sir Phenom in Appleton, Wisconsin, 5633. And this is birthday, and it's not in yellow. Oh, it is. It's in light yellow. I just can't see it on the screen.
Yes.
Tim Heezel in Hanford, California, 5510. By the way, Baron Sir Phenom was 5633. Sander Vont Hulinar in Arnhem, 55. Alina Struan in Calgary, Alberta, 55. A Surprise Night of Astonishment. Surprise. Get it? Surprise Night of Astonishment.
Got it.
Yukon, Oklahoma, 5444. Brent Staten in Huntsville, Ontario, 5333. Robert Doland in Shelby Township, Michigan, 51.
Come close to the mic, John. You're cutting out.
No, I'm moving the mic is what I'm doing. Brett Butler in Cumming, Georgia.
Bob.
5069. Baronet Sir Michael Anthony.
Ew.
The mayor. Maya. He's got to have some good material coming up with his latest thing. His 40th birthday. Good for him. Baronet Sir Michael Anthony, $50.40. Sir Brian with a Y in Aurora, California, $50.01. Scott Nelson in Council Bluffs, Iowa, $50.01. And the following people are $50 donors. Charles Boyd in San Marcos, Texas. Andrew Butterfield in Bettendorf, Iowa. Samuel Cannerday in North Riverside, Illinois. Brian Hummel in Wimberley, Texas. Simon Aronowitz in North Wembley, Middlesex, UK. He needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Diego Lopez Crane in Ithaca, New York. Kevin Sullivan in Wallingford, Connecticut. Maribeth Mallet in Spokane Valley, Washington, 50. Daniel First in Kakona, Wisconsin. Kakona, Washington. John Walter in Wenatchee, Washington. Kakona's in Wisconsin. John Walters in Wenatchee, Wisconsin. Washington. Amy Grohl in Burien, Washington, right by the airport. The Tact Squad in Columbus, Georgia. Carl Vogler in Dillon Beach, California. Elise Grosso, 2 donations. One's for James O. Miller in Blairsville, Georgia. James O. Miller, also there. A lot of 50s today. Forrest Scott Brinkley in Christiansburg, Virginia. Shauna Norberg in Seattle, Washington. Scott McCarty in Lodi, California. Jack Schofield in Yankeetown, Florida. Douglas Ellis in New York City. Martin Heidsteck in Deventer, Holland.
Deventer.
He needs something here.
Jobs.
We'll give you that at the end there, Martin. We got you right. We got some donors from Holland because of your podcast.
Told you.
David Asari in West Hollywood, California. We still haven't seen anyone from Fredericksburg.
Well, no,
David Asari.
We had Matt Long. He donated the last show because I bitched everybody out, and he's the guy from Patriot FM.
The one guy, okay. Yeah. David Asari, West Hollywood, California. Brian Emmenheiser in Lancaster, California. Sir Richard Gardner, parts unknown on this spreadsheet. Aaron Weisgerber in Bend, Oregon. Sonny Pang in UK. Wow. A big list.
Yeah.
Michael Elmore in Gastonia, North Carolina. Greg Hartlob in Cincinnati, Ohio. John Taylor in Florissant, Colorado. 50. These are all donors for today's show. 1576.
And we have a note from Layaway Night, who is coming up. Ian Trimble. John and Adam want you to let you know that I was checking my accounting and I've made Night status. I've been donating since June of 2019 to the best podcast in the universe. That's all we asked for. If everyone did that, donation segments would be short. There'd be more room for show. I'd like to be knighted as Sir Lord Zeke of Louisiana, and I'd like to call out my friend Andre for being a douchebag. He needs to donate more, not entertain your exit strategies. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you on the podium in just a moment. By request, we have a Jobs Karma and a regular. We'll throw in a goat there.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. Karma.
And we thank all these producers and the ones who came in under $50 for reasons of anonymity, or you're on one of the many sustaining donations. These are incredibly important. You can see that even with a sustaining donation over the course of 4 years, you can still enter the round table and sit here at the table. If you'd like to know how to do that or become an exec or associate executive producer, go here.
Dvorak.org/NA. It's a birthday.
And the birthdays are out in Moss as well. Baronet Sir Michael Anthony turns 40 today. Baron Sir Phenom turns 56 tomorrow. Uncle Matt and Aunt Sarah wish his oldest niece Molly a happy birthday on the 29th. Ridsert Sovereign wishes his daughter Jana Souverain, there we go, happy birthday, turned 1 on July 29th. Sir Matt celebrating on the 30th. Countess Kim wishes her stepmom a happy birthday. Tom Starkweather, we got an end of show mix coming up from him. A classic, wishes his dad a happy birthday, turning 74. Robert Dolan turns 51. And Joy in the Woods wishes her husband, Corporate Hamster, a happy birthday. And so do we. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah. Title changes, turn and face the slate. Title changes. Don't wanna be a douche
And there's no douchebaggery here. Sir Lee Furious becomes a baronet. That's what he called the 2 times night. And we thank you very much for your additional $1,000 in support. Doesn't matter how long it takes you. You can just keep your own accounting through the entire lifetime of your support of the podcast. And of course, that can bring you to the round table where we have the No Agenda Knights and the dames, and they have rings and a beautiful ceremony. And we have 2 dames and 2 knights, which means we've got the quad blades coming up here.
Here you go.
4 blades in 1. Janice Hall, Amy Dunn, Brian Wolf, Ian Trimble, all of you up on the podium, and congratulations. Thanks to your support of the No Agenda Show, I am very proud to pronounceate thee as Baronetess of the Rustling Forest, Dame Ams of Lake Country, Sir Wolfpack Ultra, and Sir Lord Zeke of Louisiana. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. By request, we have prime rib, baked potato, and a very nice glass of red wine, protein shakes, and Spanish octopus for all. And in addition to that, we've got Harlots and Haldol, pepperoni rolls and pale ales, redheads and rye, organic macaroni and plasticizers. We got vodka and vanilla, bong hits and bourbon. We got ginger ale and gerbils. And of course, we have mutton and mead. Everybody loves the mutton and mead. It is an acquired taste, but once you're a dame or a knight, you cannot get rid of it. Go to noagendarings.com. Everybody can go there and take a look at these handsome knight and dame signet rings. You can use that to seal your important correspondence with the included wax and, of course, your certificate of authenticity. Welcome, new knights. Welcome, new dames. Thank you for supporting the No Agenda Show.
No Agenda Meetups.
Like everything, even the meetups are growing. The list grows longer. People understand how important it is to have connection in this crazy world because it does offer protection. And here's an example of what a meetup sounds like. This was the Sugar Hill meetup.
Sir Compost Heap here with the Cocaine Crusader Sugar Hill, Georgia meetup. Love you, John and Adam. However, we just want to say that we are a little bit concerned about the psyops that you are running, considering that we have not yet experienced a interview in part of the first break of your show.
In the morning, this is Carrie. We are on the hunt for the owner of the cocaine baggie, but we have 0 clues.
Hi, guys. This is Janet. I just want to let you know that I love you both equally.
Oh, thank you.
Sir Island Dog here. It's been a great 5 hearty souls drinking beer and talking about No Agenda.
And that's all you have to do. And you can be anything you want to be. Be yourself. Go to a meetup like we have going on right now, the North Georgia monthly meetup. Actually, that kicks off at 6 o'clock at Cherry Street Brewing in Alpharetta, Georgia. The 3 Mile High Roundabout Tornado Watch Party. That'll be in Denver City Park, Denver, Colorado, 6:30 today. On Saturday, the local 305 International Brotherhood of Mouth Hitters, they will get together at the Versailles restaurant in Miami, Florida. And we have the Finding the Others at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. That'll be in Tampa. Cigar City Brewing at Spruce Street on Saturday as well. Michigan Local Number 1, Summer in the Beer Garden, Brewery Becker, and Brighton, Michigan. We have the Star Chamber of Idaho in El Mariachi in Star, Idaho on Saturday. Also on Saturday, North Wake, It's Been Too Long and the Music Was Too Loud meetup. Compass Rose Brewery in Raleigh, North Carolina. The Pig Roast, because why not, in Alaska. Anchorage at Sir Lane's house. You got to go to noagendameetups.com and let them know, RSVP. Da Nang Beach Meetup, Da Nang, Vietnam. That'll be on Saturday, 5 o'clock Vietnam time. East West Brewing Company in Da Nang, Vietnam. Can't wait for a meetup report. You must send one. The It's Been a While podcast will be on our next show day on Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern in Ireland's owned Jaeger House Pub in Charleston, South Carolina. And finally, our next meetup on the show day, Sunday, unpronounceable edition, 3:33 p.m. at BB's Grill in Olathe, Kansas. Sir Spencer, the Wolf of Kansas, will be hosting that one. There are meetups around the world, around the country, anywhere, even in Kaiserslautern, Germany, coming up in August. Turkey, Konya, Turkey on the 27th. Friesland, the Netherlands. You name it, there's a meetup. And if you can't find one near you, well, wait. Let me give you another promo here. It's a homemade promo.
In the morning, Maynard.
listeners, please join us for the FEMA Region 1 Northern Territory first semi-annual Backyard Bonfire Bash on Saturday, August 28th at 4:30 p.m. in Topsom, Maine. Bring your friends, birthing persons, human resources, and chest feeders. BYOB and something for the grill. We're also encouraging everyone to bring some treasure. We'll do a group donation and perform mass de-douching. Hey, Adam and John, come north and join the fun. See noagendameetups.com for more details and RSVP info. Adios, hooey, and such.
And there you go. That is what it sounds like. A No Agenda Meetup. Go there. Set one up if you can't find one near you. noagendameetups.com. It's easy and it's always a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
Do you have any good ISOs? Because I have a crap.
I have a couple. I don't know if they're good.
I think I only have one crappy one. Let me play it. Let me see. I don't think it's any good. Here it is.
No Labels has no agenda.
I don't like it. I'm sorry. It's no good. No good.
Right.
What do you have?
Well, I've got So Cute.
Ooh, that might be good.
It was so cute.
Okay. Okay.
And Internet.
God, the internet is just like a crazy mess right now.
I'm not crazy about either one of them.
Well, I wasn't. I figured you'd be loaded up after being.
I think we should do So Cute.
It was so cute.
So Cute's good.
So Cute is good.
All right.
All right, Africa, because it's important to get this in because that's the new territory. And I'm just looking at Ukraine, and the port of Odessa keeps getting bombed, they say, by Russia, which I think is true because from our analysis, I have a feeling that the weapons are they're just all being shipped down from Odessa down to Africa under the guise of it's grain, just grain. That would be the only reason. And
it makes sense.
Yes. And so Russia now is, Putin specifically, has kind of done a check move. I don't know if it's checkmate, but he's saying, don't worry about it. We don't have a grain deal. You're not going to get that grain from Ukraine. No Ukraine grain. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of yous.
Vladimir Putin says Russia will provide free grain to 6 African nations in the coming months. The Russian president made the promise during a summit with African leaders in St. Petersburg. Moscow recently withdrew from a Black Sea deal that had allowed Ukraine to export much-needed supplies to the continent. Russia's decision has pushed up global grain prices again and further threatened food security in parts of Africa. Speaking at the summit, Putin said his country would compensate for the lack of grain making its way to Africa.
Our country is ready to make up for the Ukrainian grain, both on commercial basis and free of charge, to those countries in Africa that are in dire need, especially since we expect a record high harvest this year. As for the specific details, I should like to say that in the near months, 3-4 months, we would be ready to provide to Burkina Faso, Zimbabwe, Mali, Somalia, the Central African Republic, and Eritrea. We would be ready to supply 50,000 tons of grain to each. We'll ensure free shipping of this cargo.
Free shipping! He's like Amazon. He's the Amazon of grain. Free shipping. Free shipping. So that's an interesting move. Now, it's not all the African countries that have issues with food, but we got a note from one of our producers, and this is a boots on the ground that blew me away. I just want to read it because this will give you a much better idea of what is happening in Africa and why we need to keep our eye on it. This is from Captain Redbeard of the Space Coast. Your recent coverage of the activity in Africa caught my attention as I've spent a significant amount of time there in support of certain 3-letter agencies. By the way, we have the best producers in the universe. My most relevant trip was actually in 2008-2009. One of my many tasks was to collect on-the-ground intelligence information regarding smuggling routes between Djibouti and Khartoum. At the time, Khartoum kind of in the news. At the time, Sudan was a single country. In 2011, South Sudan became an independent country with the support of Uncle Sam. We remember it well. So apparently, the intel collection worked. Those pesky Muslims in Khartoum wouldn't allow the West to stage any goods or services in their country, so we just made another one that would support us. Needless to say, Sudan via Uganda has been in play for a long time. Uganda. Isn't that interesting that we know from the international arms dealer that the United Nations is accepting military aircraft and probably other weapons down there sold through international arms dealers? This effort wouldn't have been possible without the support of Uganda. The West has pumped so much money and goods into Uganda during Yoweri Museveni's reign, they are completely dependent on the handouts and will do whatever we tell them. There are many interesting correlations between Uganda and Ukraine. If you're looking for a blueprint for upcoming activities in Central Africa, for example, the presidents of both countries have suspended elections and made themselves de facto dictators with the support of the West. Museveni is currently the president of Uganda for life. He came to power during a bloody uprising or coup, but then again, that's how most African leaders come to power. Another interesting comparison is the East African Federation and the European Union. When the global war on terrorism started, the West was keen to recruit Uganda, already part of the EAF, to do their bidding in Somalia. Another West Clark 7. This seems eerily similar to what is happening with Ukraine. Build up a stooge to fight our proxy wars, similar to Poland in the EU. I believe Uganda would be the staging ground for any major military activities in Central Africa. My first trip to Africa was as a member of the Combined Joint Task Force, Horn of Africa, CJTF-HOA. What started as a small base in Djibouti to fight in Somalia has now turned to AFRICOM, Africa Command, with headquarters in Germany. A CJTF doesn't rate a whole lot of dollars in the defense budget, but a major combatant command like AFRICOM can carry a huge purse. This buildup has been slow and quiet. Very interesting PSYOP rabbit hole to go down is the Joseph Kony 2012 saga. Boy, do we remember that one, John?
Oh, yeah.
When there was a video all of a sudden with 100 million views overnight on YouTube, which no one deemed possible.
No, it wasn't. It was a scam.
Joseph Kony is a brutal warlord whose main business is raising villages and creating child soldiers. However, it's my personal belief he's a psyop by the Ugandan government against their own people to continue their own version of the military-industrial complex. We were fighting Joseph Kony and the Lord's Resistance Army back in the early 2000s, and now I wonder if that was all in support of the Sudanese civil war and splitting up that country. There's another matter of Chinese intelligence on the Dark Continent, but I'm saving that for my next email. Thank you for your courage, Captain Redbeard of the Space Coast. So, makes total sense. And this is proxy war against Russia and China and everything we can do.
Well, we're keeping busy.
Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I wanted to bring in this as you brought up the Ukraine and being some sort of parallel. What do you think the deal is with this? It has not been played up by anyone, including the BBC. Zelensky fires the UK ambassador.
Tensions rise as Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky discharges the country's ambassador to Britain. This is days after the representative publicly criticized the president. The sudden dismissal of Ambassador Vadim Prystaiko also removed him as Ukraine's representative to the International Maritime Organization. But Zelensky didn't provide a specific reason for the decision. The dispute emerged when Prystaiko was questioned about remarks made by the outgoing British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace, urging Kyiv to display more gratitude for foreign weapons assistance in countering Russia's occupying forces. In response, Zelensky said we could get up in the morning and express our words of gratitude to the minister. Prystaiko told Sky News in a recent interview that the Ukrainian president's remarks contained a touch of sarcasm. As of now, there is no official word on Prystaiko's replacement.
What do you think it is?
Well, I think it has to do with somebody not playing ball. It was our doing to get rid of this guy. I'm convinced of it. Who else would be behind it? Zelensky doesn't care if anybody... He's heard these complaints before that he doesn't thank everybody enough.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily fire them. Or I guess it wasn't a firing. You can't fire that position. You just can roust them. Out.
I have one last clip that may shed some light on where this whole thing ends as we are on the 70th anniversary of Armistice. with North Korea. I think it's 7.
Oh, yeah, it's something like that.
And so
there's a North Korean thing going on.
That's actually kind of interesting because, the North Korean war never ended. It's just armistice.
Still going on, literally. In essence, it's still in play.
And what do we have between North and South Korea?
A demilitarized zone?
Yes. And I think this is really going to be the final solution. There will be an armistice between Russia and Ukraine with a demilitarized zone, which is an obvious no-go zone.
So we've just been hearing there, we're talking about huge stretches of land here. How challenging is it going to be to demine all of it?
Well, yes, according to some estimates, the mined area consists of 160,000 square kilometers, which is nearly half the size of the country of Germany. And I just heard recently the figure of almost 750 years that's been cited that it would take to fully demine the area the size of Ukraine. This is unlike anything that the world has dealt with since World War II. And mind you, Ukraine up until now had been dealing with demining the leftover from both World Wars I and II. Imagine, it's taken decades and decades to deal with that, and now with this really hot warfare, the largest war-based, land-based war that Europe has had since World War II, the amount of work to be done once the war is over is staggering. And the war is actually far from over.
Yeah, the war will never be over. It'll just be armistice. And no one will be able to go between those two areas because it's just filled with mines and cluster bombs and unexploded shells. And it's a hellscape.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like it.
The hellscape or the...
No, I like the thesis.
Okay.
Because there doesn't seem to be any way out of this thing except for that thesis. And it did work before with North Korea.
And it's great for the military-industrial complex. You get to keep everybody scared that Russia will do it again. And we need to move to Africa, people. We got to get to Africa.
Time to pick up and move on.
Exactly. At least that's what the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group recommends. Coming up next on No Agenda Stream, we have the complex Candor with Sam and Vox. And we have some a short little end of show mix here. We've got clip custodian Neil Jones with a boob summer mix. We've got D's Last with Maddie J. Nice little ditty. And an Wall Street earnings season's end of show mix from Tom Starkweather, all about AI. Coming to you from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I remain, and the weather's nice. It's nice. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday. Please join us then and enjoy your meetups. And remember us at Dvorak.org/NA, noagendashow.net. Until then, adios, mofos. A hooey hooey and such.
Boobs.
That is too hot.
Boobs.
I think they're fantastic.
Boobs.
Ooga.
Boobs.
I think they're fantastic.
Boobs.
You all know Harari, where he wrote a book called Homo Deus, where he's talking about how to make men gods. I mean, like, the whole idea is just so out of this world. The things that they are experimenting with and want to do in reintroducing kind of that eugenics movement.
Listening to RFK on Lex, I felt a bond to his story of addiction and drugs. Your word is bond. Backsliding is what I'm not hiding, trying to avoid or prevent. Sorta like a zone defense. Tampa 2 is what I meant. How do you cement a strong legacy? I guess we'll see. Insincere and dishonest M5M talking about Robert Kennedy, referring to him as Bobby K, Bobby the Q, RFK Jew. Yeah, chicken made in aluminum vat is not a tumor. A lawyer too. Now they calling them anti-vax. I mean the humor. podcast president, the everyman they can't resist, but resist we much. Al Sharpton, who wasn't too sharp with the tongue and hard to trust. A public speaker and a preacher who used to run, I mean not a race, but I think the teleprompter won. No agenda, put your money where your mouth is. Don't penny pinch your treasure or be so selfish. Did you get some value meaningful till you just put it in a number? Keep trolling, but don't be rude, my dude.
It's no longer something confined to R&D labs and garage-based startups.
I've heard that some people think robots are mean, Terminator-like machines.
And then we have people like, well, Elon Musk, who said we're very close to cutting edge in AI.
We should advise you, however, that our preliminary findings indicate that your onboard 90000 computer is in error.
Identify malfunction immediately.
On to Bishop 4.
Once there is superintelligence, the fate of humanity may depend on what the superintelligence does.
That's amazing coding.
I was listening to a podcast hosted by
Adam Curry
and John C. Dvorak.
Artificial intelligence will give us new jobs.
It's going to be all right again.
Something happening over here. Whoa.
It's likely rather to swoosh right by.
Hello, computer.
Like if then, go to.
Yeah, if then, if.
I hope the two of you are not concerned about this.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
It was so cute.